Okay, I'm gonna tell you how many. You're gonna guess how many unread text messages I have,
This is a horrible game.
and it is to the point where Ross he called me a wild man. So that's the only thing I'll give you. I also like to let my phone run down to 1%. So I like to live dangerously. Okay, how many unread text messages do you guys think I have?
Well, you're making it seem like it's a large number.
I have a number in mind. I'm going to go with 62.
62.
I'm going to go with...
That tells me a lot about you, Drew.
I'm going to go with a
That
way
you said
more.
60. That 62 is a big number of unread text messages for you.
Because I have a big number on my phone, so I'm kind of wondering who won. I'm going to go 700.
I am at 748.
I'm at 499. One more.
Do you guys want to play another game?
I would.
How
I
many
would, I would.
emails?
I would implode. I would implode. I hate
emails.
the little red notification. I'm about to be sick for both of you. That makes me sick. It does make me feel really good, though, because you both reply to me pretty quickly, so nice to be in
I
the
reply to you
echelon.
really quickly, and I'm on Do Not Disturb like 90% of the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
We're in
you.
the inner circle, man.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to guess how many unread emails I have? This is just on one email. I have many more.
12. Oh, jeez, Nate. I was going to say 1,200.
Oh, no, because... No.
1,200.
37,489.
Are you kidding me? Nate, stop it.
65,000. Blur that out.
All right, here we go. Big number. Ready for that? How about 7? How about man, I've got way too many texts there. 6. Horrible.
I don't wanna try that hard. I ain't gonna show that card. People start to wonder if you live here now. And the boys in the corner are trying to figure you out.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the On Deck Podcast, a Prospects Live podcast. We are, of course, your friends, your hosts for the day. Starting with me, your friend, your host, your boy, Drew Wheeler, the Chris Bosch of baseball. Some are calling me. I'm not so sure that that's going to be a long-term nickname, but we'll see what happens. With me, as always, my friends, my co-hosts, my comrades, my colleagues, starting, of course, with the face of baseball media. The free-range human, Rhys B. White. Oh, I forgot your actual title. Rhys is also the director of pro scouting at Prospects Live. What's up, Rhys?
Oh, hey, that was fantastic.
I forgot your actual title. Golly.
That is my actual title around here. Yeah, I'm doing great. Dude, it's been a day. So yeah, and then we have. If you want to introduce Nate, this is the worst intro ever.
It's been a long day, man. I was telling you guys it's been a long day, and I'm zoned. So anyway.
you've done a lot today. I'm not going to disclose what, but you've changed the country for the better.
Stop. Okay, stop. We're getting dangerously close to no. Okay, anyway, with us as well, he is the hottest man on planet Earth. You can take that how you will. Some of you at home may be thinking, look at his face. Some of you at home may be thinking, he's in Phoenix, Arizona. Of course he's hot. I'll let you think what you will. He is the man with the most interesting painting in the world behind him. He is a member of the pro scouting team. He is Nathan, call him Nate, Rasmussen. Nate, what'd it do?
That felt like my NBA debut right there. Yeah, man, it's pretty hot out here, but AC's going, and I'm out here tomorrow. So back to good old Seattle in 70. So, yeah, doing good, though.
Absolutely. So, this episode, if you can't tell, we got plenty to do. Lots on the agenda today. Let's go through it really quickly. So we're going to recap Nate's time at the MLB Draft Combine. Lots going on with that. It's going to be a good one. We have got some exclusive player interviews. Nate, you have interviewed how many people over the last 3 days?
Probably around 20.
So let's just go with that because I'm not going to make you actually count it. So you're getting how many, Nate? Not one?
2 interviews in this episode.
Not 3, but 2 interviews in this episode.
I can tell you who they are. Ma'Kale Holden and Xavier Neyens are coming back on the show.
Wow, I love it. So Xavier, the first ever 2-time guest of the show, and one of my favorite prepsters, Ma'Kale Holden. So I've interviewed Ma'Kale this season. You've interviewed Ma'Kale. Rhys, have you interviewed Ma'Kale Holden?
No, I haven't interviewed Ma'Kale Holden yet, but there's still plenty of time.
No, you were
I have
there,
a question.
Rhys. You were there.
Oh, you were there.
You were there.
Well, you'll find
right.
out soon at home about how Rhys was there. We have got interviews. We're going to talk just a smidge bit about Omaha. I think we're going to wrap up the bow of the preliminary pools because we have our finals established, which will start tonight. We have got some news at P Live, and of course, the greatest segment in all of podcasting history, the segment that some say is saving the world. What's on your mind? We got it all. We're coming down. So, guys, what we're going to do right now is we are going to kick it to Nate, and he's got something for us.
I just want to do a quick reminder. In a lot of these interviews with pitchers, we went over Grip's Pitching Ninja style. So if you were to ever want to watch the YouTube, I think that this would be the time to watch the YouTube, at least for the interview segments, just based on kind of it was a video interview, right? And we went over pitch grips and did stuff like that on video. So you might be a little confused if you're listening on your podcasting app. So I just want to preface this episode with that.
Very smart. And yes, on that note, you miss a lot of dumb things. I make faces, Rhys makes faces, Nate makes faces. You should watch on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. And if that can't convince you, maybe this will, because we are going to throw it right now to them boys from the past. Past Rhys, past Nate, past Drew. Get at it with day one, boys.
Yeah, so I suppose we've already introed this podcast. So this is our start right here. Sure. I don't know what I want to talk about, but I guess you guys all know that I'm in Arizona, and this is day 1 of the Draft Combine, kind of reviewing it. We'll have a day 2 and 3 episode probably, or section in this episode, along with maybe an interview or 2. We're just going to play it day by day, minute by minute. So what do you guys want to talk about?
Quentin Young. What did you think of him?
Quentin Young. Let me pull up my...
Hopefully your notes are nicer than mine.
So, Nate, I'll tell you this. I actually have had the pleasure of seeing Quentin Young in person before.
Okay. What did you think?
I left thinking that it was incredibly loud contact, but I thought that he looked very nervous when I saw him, actually. I don't think that was the case today.
He was in the same group as CC Sabathia's kid. So, like, he was kind of in, like, the star-studded group of the morning. But he was by far the best hitter in his group. I had him down at 112 max exit velo. He was hitting like upper 30s degree like launch angles at 110 plus miles an hour, which was pretty cool. I actually can pull up the numbers here too. He was top 10 in exit velos for the day. His high was 111, distance 427. I thought that he consistently made hard contact, too. There were some guys who were like, all right, here's a pop-up, and then here's a home run, and then here's a ground ball or whatever. He was pretty consistent lift and pull, and he wasn't like hard pull. He was more like left center pull power, which was pretty impressive to see. And he looks big. Like, he actually, like, I know he's a big dude, but he, like, looks wide at 6'5", 6'6". Like, he was bigger than Sabathia's kid, which is obviously hard to do. So I was super impressed with Quentin Young. The defense honestly looked pretty good. Like, it was pretty smooth out there, despite being, an absolute giant. Will he stick at, like... I think he worked out with the shortstops today. Will he stick there? I don't think so, obviously. Probably third base, but I think that's an asset to have a guy who can hit for power like him at third base and have him not automatically be a first baseman because he is athletic.
Do you think you'd handle a corner outfield spot? Well,
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think so. We'll see what he runs, if he runs in 2 days. I don't have any kind of runner numbers on him, and he obviously didn't play in the scrimmage today, so I didn't see that. But just from his movements, like, he looked like a pure athlete. You know, just one of those kind of freak of nature, tall, lean guys.
We know as well that just from the familial ties, I mean, outfield is something that people in his family of his similar body shape have done well. So theoretically, especially if you're like, okay, he might not be a shortstop, but he looks athletic enough to handle third, I think right field is kind of a good backup option for him at this point, right?
Outfield should probably be the backup option because, like, he is working out as a shortstop. Like, he has been told to work out as a shortstop, which means something, right? Because you wouldn't tell there were third basemen who worked out. Obviously, there's way more shortstops in the prep class, but like there were guys who were playing third. If he knew he was going to play third or even like outfield, he wouldn't be working out as shortstop. I think third base is a super realistic option, and maybe even some second base, man. I mean, second baseman nowadays can hit 30 home runs, so.
You kind of need to these days, or else I'm not paying attention. You have to 20. It's from Chris Blessing. I'm going to call it Chris Blessingism. You have to hit 25 home runs or steal 25 bases to be an interesting second baseman.
Blessing's law.
I'll go over top exit velos if you guys want.
I'd love.
I would love that. Do you have that written down in your journal, or
I have the data.
Ooh.
I've been blessed. So Brandon Compton of Arizona State put on an absolute clinic today. I wish I had better video on our Twitter, but it is up there of him just hitting absolute moonshots to the pull side. Lift and pull on drugs because we're a family-friendly podcast. Let me see what I wrote about him.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Well, first of all, so top three exit velos of the day, 116.9, 116.6, 116.4. And then he had, it looks like maybe 8 of the top 12 exit velos on the day, which is just hard to do when you only swing at 25 pitches. So, like, his barrel rate was absolutely ridiculous. Every time he barreled up a baseball, it was over 110 miles an hour, which is pretty dang cool to see. Brandon Compton. Where did I put him? This is horrible podcasting.
What was
No,
the
this
max
is fantastic
exit velocity
podcasting.
What was the max exit velocity for Compton, you said, Nate?
116.9. It's the highest since 2022.
So, just for reference sake at home, that would be the 9th highest exit velocity at the major league level, only trailing O'Neal Cruz, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, James Wood, Josh Naylor, Jarren Duran, and Ellie De La Cruz, above the likes of Kyle Schwarber, Ryan Mountcastle, Junior Caminero, and the GOAT, Seiya Suzuki. So this is very loud contact.
And it's off of, 60 mile per hour BP. The guy just switched to a wood bat again. I was talking to some people there, and they said that he impressed a lot on the Cape last year with the wood bat. And then this 116.9 mile an hour exit velo would have been the highest he's ever had before. So hotter than any metal bat exit velo he's ever had, which is really interesting that he has performed both better in the Cape and technically at this combine than he has in college with the metal bat. And he's been a pretty good performer in college, like not to discredit anything.
Yeah, he had a down season this past year, though, like 271, 379, 486 for someone who came in with such high expectations. So maybe this sort of helps salvage some sort of draft stock for him. And to just throw it in comparison, he's only 6'1", 225, and some of those other guys, those exit velocity monsters, right? They're big, tall, tight end build sort of guys. He's running back build, so it's interesting that with that sort of physicality. What did you think of? Did he do any outfield drills or anything like that?
I was doing an interview during the outfield drills, so I unfortunately did not get to see any of that. I don't know if he did or not. I could probably check on here somewhere.
That's fine. I think he's a corner outfielder going forward.
Yeah, I think so. Everyone just was commenting on how wide he's built. Like he's 6'1", right? But he is like the widest 6'1" you could possibly be, with like kind of a shorter lower body and a longer upper body, which is kind of an interesting build. But he's close to the ground. Like he's so wide that he is kind of, yeah. So he's like fully grounded with tree trunk legs that aren't like super long, So it's like It's an interesting build. I wouldn't say it's like the most typical. Like, you don't really think short legs when you think of guys like this, but it's because he's so dang wide. It might be an optical illusion too, because he does have this build.
Can I tell you what I
impressive of the day.
Can I tell you what I went through on Jason Dominguez and watching him? He's got a very similar body type. He's built like an upside-down Dorito, right? He's got the long, and then it sort of meets at the waist. It's like a triangle, but a Dorito is, I think, a better... okay, so after him, who else really impressed you in batting practice?
Tatum Gray was the most impressive prepster of the day. He started off the day, I think he was in the second group, and everyone else was like topping out at like 103, 104 for like these prep high school guys, and there were a couple of good ones before him, and then Tatum Gray comes out of nowhere, 112, 114 in the first round. Most guys aren't topping out at their max exit velo until maybe the third, fourth round, and they went through maybe 6 rounds of 5 or so. Like, it was pretty extended BP. He came right out the gate, like nobody's business. From the right side, I had him at 106. Oppo with ease, like his first couple swings were just on a line, 106 to the opposite field. And then he was hopping up into like 112, 114 from the right side. And then from the left side, I had him at 113. So it was a very similar kind of thing. There's a lot of guys, a lot of switch hitters today, and a lot of them really struggled from the right side. Tatum Gray was probably more impressive from the right side, which I kind of like, if anything, because it shows that he's got that balance to him. It was the same lift and pull approach from both sides of the plate. It was the same exact swing. It was really impressive. He was hitting balls, 420 feet pretty consistently, and he landed at third highest exit velo as far as people go for a prepster, filled with quite a few mid-major college bats and some lower power 5 bats today. So I thought that was really impressive out of him. He also put up pop times consistently between like 1.9 and 1.98, which was good, right? You don't think power hitting catcher, you don't necessarily think good defense as well, but I thought it was manageable. He obviously didn't play in the game, so it's hard to tell, and I haven't seen him live catching. But during the bullpens, he was squeezing it. He looked like he had good instincts back there.
I almost wonder in a setting like this with a catcher, if they're just able to show that shows the sort of malleability, and you would know better as a pitcher than I would. You probably played on showcases and stuff where you didn't know the catcher going in beforehand. Does that give you from the evaluator perspective, do you think that catchers showing that even just that level of baseline projects well for their glove grade and everything that you might if you had to throw one on him?
I would not lean very highly on it because there's not a batter in there.
Okay.
It's a lot easier to kind of move side to side and get around pitches when there isn't a batter, an umpire, and everything else. You're not necessarily trying to steal strikes. You're trying to look really good at stealing strikes, if that makes sense. I would say like a lot of the catchers, they would over-exaggerate their ins and outs, so it looked like they were really, sticking things back on the plate or whatnot, when in reality they were just set up way outside, which probably wouldn't be super realistic in most game settings. I've never been impressed with the catcher's bullpen and catching and then thought he was a good catcher in a game, if that makes sense, because it's just not the same. I've seen a lot of guys who can catch a good bullpen and then can't do all the other things in game, but he moved well back there. Like his glove movements were like traditional catcher movements. Like, it's not like he's Ike Irish back there. Like, there's more than that.
Poor Ike Irish taking strays right now.
Not a catcher.
Do you have any other questions, Drew, or on hitters? Because I wanted to ask about some pitchers.
My list is pretty pitching heavy. Was there anybody, Nate, that maybe the contact tool is what stood out specifically? We talked about guys like Young and Compton and even Gray, whose power kind of led the way. Is there any bat, just a sweet swing that you might have seen today?
JoJo Parker was probably my favorite hitter to watch today. I think he was the guy I'm highest on out of everyone who actually performed today. I think he's a top 10 pick. I think he's better than Casey Cunningham, who's kind of the other kind of top prep guy working out. I thought JoJo Parker showed off enough juice, but it was just consistent line drive after line drive. Mm-hmm. He was like in the 104 exit velo range for most of his line drives, which obviously like isn't great, but he's not like a super big guy. Like his twin brother Jacob was putting up EVs more in the 108 range, but he doesn't have the same like contact ability. It's a totally different swing. JoJo Parker's swing is my favorite. I think it's super repeatable. I just kept writing down great swing. I wrote it down 3 times in my notes. Like, I just really liked it. And I have some video that I'll go over when I actually write my live looks article to break it down further for people. But he was just all fields throughout the whole round. Like, he was not trying to hit home runs. It was like watching a big league player take BP. Like, he was just spraying to different fields. He was hitting the ball where it was pitched, despite it being 60 miles an hour. Where 99% of the guys we saw today were just lift and pull all day long because they wanted to get the highest exit velos. JoJo Parker looked like a polished baseball player.
Yeah, question kind of just piggybacking off of that, man. You referenced Case and Cunningham and the comparison between the two. For you, I know before we jumped on to record, your review of day one, you had said, you feel yourself really getting deep into draft mode, so to say, right now. To see 2 really highly regarded prepsters like Parker and Cunningham, back to back, essentially, like you could see them and compare them today. What does that mean for your evaluation of them and of the class in general?
It means so much. I'm learning so much just being able to see high school guys against high school guys. And then even high school guys against, like, low college guys. And kind of see, like, that's where you see, like, the Gavin Fiends of the world who had a good day. Or who was the other prepster we were just talking about who had the great EVs all day? Tatum Gray. Like, being able to see him hit with mid-major guys at the same time, like, shows you, I wouldn't have guessed that that's a high schooler. Like, that kind of thing. And being able to see, like, Case and Cunningham and JoJo Parker field right next to each other was very interesting. Like, seeing how they moved, seeing the arm strength, like pretty much back to back, seeing the hit tool. Like, Case and Cunningham had a lot more mishits than JoJo Parker did. That could be a nerves thing, right? You can't, like, fully chalk up your tool grades to BP off 60 miles an hour, but, like, Case and Cunningham was a better fielder than I thought he was coming into it. I think it's maybe like a 55, 60 glove at the absolute most, but I think it's a 55 glove. I think that the glove might be better than the bat at this point, looking at Cunningham, and there's not a hint of power there. I don't think I saw him put up a 100-mile-an-hour exit velo all day. Whereas JoJo Parker was, consistently spraying the ball. So there's a lot of factors I'm trying to, like, take into account, knowing that this is, 30 swings in a guy's whole lifetime. But being able to compare Casey Cunningham and JoJo Parker next to each other, I would take Parker in the top 8 maybe, and I don't think I would take Cunningham until like 15.
Very impressive. Rhys, that's all the batting questions I've got for Nate. Nate, if you have any other batting notes that you want to talk about, feel free. Or I think maybe we could kick it to pitching, because as Rhys said, kind of that's your soup du jour. And
I got one more hitter. You talked about the game, obviously, and I mean he did really well because for a little behind the scenes, Nate's the one tweeting this stuff out. He put have a game. Bruin, dude, I don't even want to try that last name.
Agabayo, is that right?
Agabayani.
Agbayani, I believe.
Agbayani. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we workshopped that together. You put have a game, 2 for 3, a triple, a single, two base on balls, and the triple was a 106 mile per hour exit velocity, the hardest hit of the ball during the game, to deep right center field. What were your thoughts on him, and where would you slot him in on this draft class after? How does this showing impact your opinion on him?
So, like, he's not like a sure draft guy. He's not one of those prepsters who you're like I think he's almost a reach to sign. Like heading into this, I would have said he made it to campus. But after kind of seeing him in person, like, the glove was better than I thought, and then the hit tool was the best of anyone playing in that game. And there were some good players playing in the high school scrimmage game. He worked the 2 walks were like really well worked walks. Like, it was probably like 3-2, 3-1 kind of walks. He stole a base. He got caught stealing twice. Like, he was aggressive as all heck, which is like kind of fun. Like, he was there to run right away and try and show off his tools, and the scouts appreciated that. Also, all of the scouts absolutely loved this guy heading into it. Like, by the time, like, when he was leading off, all the scouts were like the guys behind me were talking about like how much they loved Bruin, and I think that means something. Like, these guys have seen, like, just go see a Hawaiian player or know about him is kind of hard to do. So I think that spoke volumes. So I kind of took notes from the first AB, like seeing how these guys were responding to him. And in his third AB, he almost went yard in right center field, so opposite way. into the deepest part of the yard. It was like 416 to that alley. Almost went yard, warning track, and legged out a stand-up triple. Granted, high school player in center field, like not the greatest arm, but like it was never within question. So I think the speed's plus. And then his single was a bases-loaded single right up the middle that scored 2 runs. So he was responsible for a lot of the movement. I think he scored 3 runs for the Stars team. And it was impressive all the way around. I'll have to look at my BP notes, but I remember thinking that I liked the swing. The exit velos weren't overwhelming, but it was more like gamer style. It was like hit over power. This kid's a gamer, and he obviously proved that right.
Okay, that's the last hitter I had. I'm sorry.
I lied, actually. I did. If you don't mind, Nate, do you have any notes on my very first interview from this year, Griffin Enos? I was really happy to see Griffin playing, and I was satisfied to see that he worked a walk to lead off the game in the first inning, and also made some loud contact out to right field. I know the right fielder caught that ball for an out, and then I know also Griffin, I think when he was on base, the kid that came up probably fourth, and I don't remember the lineup, kind of hit like a rocket to second base that they threw back to the first baseman to tag him out. He had kind of a lead on. Correct.
Yeah, so yeah, he led the game off with a walk. Next guy went F7, and then 3-hole Liamsi Montanez hit a 100-mile-an-hour line drive right at second base, and Griffin got doubled up on. The rest of his game looked like a weak ground out to second base, and then a weak pop out to right field. Okay. Sorry, no, I was talking about that. I was looking at Montanez there. Enos went fly out to right field, and then he walked and stole a base.
Okay, the fly out to right was the one I was thinking of, because it was good contact. I was impressed with the contact, at least. But just from watching him, I know he played center field as well. Any specific notes on Griffin for me to write down?
There was very little hitting in this game. It was the walk show. There was like 3 barrels in the day, and it was a home run, triple, and a double. Like those were like the only 3 barrels. They all found grass, and they were all to the pull side except for. So I guess Enos was in center field when our guy Agbayani hit that triple, and I was not impressed with the arm from center field. So maybe that's something right there.
That's so funny because the arm was actually the tool I was most impressed with watching him live, but it was not tested. So this is certainly a test, is Agbayani. Another thing, just super quick, Eisfelder, commitment to everybody's favorite university, the University of Tennessee, home run, deep left center. So
yeah, that was only 99 off the bat, but he took a good it was just a hanging slider, but it was off of a pitcher who like had good stuff. I don't remember his name. And Parker Rhodes, who I came away impressed with, and he took a hanging slider, 99 EV off the bat and into the gap to go yard.
Well, cool. I think we've talked enough about batters, though. Unless Nate, you've got anything else. Rhys, I think you said you're good with bats.
Yeah, let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about the stuff where I think I'm not there. Obviously, as you can tell, I have the same background that I have in everything that I record. All the books that I've never read. They're not mine. I'm just curious, like, how is the state of pitching outside of the game where you literally just called it a walk fest?
The state of pitching is in shambles. There are not pitchers, there are throwers. I didn't see good runner holds. I didn't see like good body language. Like the first guy had his inning rolled, which is insane that we're playing like games that have innings rolled, but it makes sense because he threw like 40 pitches in the first inning. Rolled the inning and he just like stood in the middle of the field. Like as a former player, that hurt my heart to see, and I can't imagine that you love a guy's character when they're out there pouting after walking the house and then giving up some hits. Like that is what happens in baseball. I was not impressed with a whole lot of pitching, but there was some good stuff. There just wasn't great pitching all around. We're seeing a resurgence in curveballs within the youth. There are no more hard sliders, it feels like. There are people who are signaling cutter and throwing sweepers, and then people are signaling slider and they're throwing curveballs. Like everyone is throwing a curveball now. Everyone's chasing horizontal, and they think it's a sweeper, and it's just a bunch of curveballs, and everyone slows down their arms so much. I had it written down for 4 or 5 different pitchers, and there was 14 guys that threw in this game. 4 or 5 of them had like noticeably slower arm actions on their curveball just to get it to like 22 miles an hour off their heater, which like 22 miles an hour off your heater is like, there's no magic number for that in my opinion. I actually think throwing harder curveballs is better, and I think a lot of people think that. So like to slow down your arm, to slow down a pitch, it might get some more strikeout looking kind of stuff or some more backdoor Ks, but I think it's really easy to pick up on, and pro hitters will absolutely devour that. We've seen it with Caden Dana, who has different arm slots. I saw that with a lot of guys today. The sweeper guys were throwing noticeably lower with their sweepers and their four-seam fastballs. It's just amazing how much clearer it is in high school baseball players than it is in college and professional guys like I watch so often. I don't watch a whole lot of high school baseball, and just because these are the best prepsters in the country doesn't mean that they're immune to the same shortcomings as so many other prep guys. So that's my rant about the state of pitching right now. There were a couple really good guys, though.
I'm going to ask, Alex Barr, was that the one who you said dropping 20 miles an hour off of the fastball to curveball? Because at a certain point, I think that you can have too much velocity separation. And that 20 miles an hour, I think, is that level. And then just watching him, right, people can pull up the, well, actually, I'm not trying to give you more work here, Nate. You're working your ass off out there. I know we said that we're not going to cuss. That's fine. I'm the boss of this podcast. One little is okay. But he's like, it's an awkward delivery. It looks kind of, tell me if I'm wrong, it's like, it's not fluid. I'm not trying to crap on the guy or anything like that, but this is part of scouting. Like, the delivery's not great, and you said he's throwing this weird curveball from a weird arm slot, and it's clearly not working, or it's working at this setting, but it's not going to work at the next level. I just want to know your overall thoughts on that, and especially since you are not only a former player, but a pitching coach as well, or you have pitching coach, in your resume.
Yeah, I would have an absolute field day if I had the full StatCast data. That had all this other information. All I have is breaks, spin, and velo, right? Like that's what I'm working with here. That's what's public or kind of public. Alex Barr topped out at 94 and a half on his fastball, and he bottomed out at 91. So that's a pretty good heater for a lefty as far as not top prep arms, because none of the top prep arms were throwing, right? So Alex Barr is kind of in that mid-level prep arm territory, and a bunch of lefties. First of all, he was probably one of the hardest throwing lefties there. Topping out at 94, and his curveball was consistently below 70. Drew, I don't know if you're a math guy, but 94 to 68, what do we got there?
94 to 68 equals 26 miles per hour. Is that right? No, 16 miles per hour.
No, I think you're right. It's 26. Right?
I think it's 16. I'm almost positive.
94
your mom
to
is going to
68.
be so mad at us.
Hey Siri, what is 94 minus 68?
Yeah, hold on.
What an
26.
absolute disgrace. Okay, fine.
Oh,
All
dude.
right,
I thought I was
26.
freaking out there for a second.
Okay,
Dude,
so
I'm
you said
so
68 on the curveball. In my brain, I'm thinking, okay, a curveball's not 68 miles per hour. He means 78.
It is.
Okay, so yes, that's 26 miles of separation, Nate, and that is obviously, like you said on with your tweet here, a huge speed difference.
And so let's also keep in mind, he didn't throw another pitch. There was nothing in between those two.
I mean, right here's... I'm not going to try to coach pitching with a pitching coach. It's a smart scout. But, I mean, right here, a low 80s, mid 80s cutter would work wonders for this kid.
Yeah, or just anything.
Anything. Anyway, Rhys, I don't know about you. I've got 3 names here, specifically, Nate, that I'm just curious for thoughts about. The guys that impressed me the most today.
Hello?
I'm here. I was waiting on you.
Are you asking, did you say the 3 guys that I was impressed by?
I've got 3 names, but I'm curious if you...
I'd love to hear them.
Well, I'm now that you say that, I'd almost rather hear yours. Who's the pitcher
I was just
you
sitting
left?
there. I thought you were frozen.
No, I was trying to be
I thought he
really,
was frozen.
I was trying to be really still because I think that's a funny joke. But pitcher. What pitcher did you leave today most impressed with?
Yeah, so CJ Gray was the first bullpen of the day. He didn't throw in the game. I just want to shout that out because it was a pretty electric bullpen. Mm-hmm. No crazy spin stuff, but it looks like he got up to 96. He was pretty consistently 94 to 96 on the sinker, and that was one of the better marks all day. Not in game too, so that matters, right? With really good kind of movement on him. as far as the in-game guys, the starters didn't move me a whole lot. Parker Rhodes was the guy who I posted on Twitter and got a little bit of buzz over there. He's like 95 to 97 on the heater. Something like between 15 and 18 vert on it, with 11 to 7 horizontal. So like a decently shaped fastball, right? Changeup was kind of a work in progress around 89, but it like dipped into the negative verts, which is always something I kind of like to see. And then slider was the kind of butter, more of a sweeper, and he was throwing that on the 0 line at about negative 16 horizontal. I think he ran it up to 20 on one of them, if my notes are correct, and that was at like 82, 83 miles an hour. So like 12, 13 miles an hour between a sweeper and a really hard fastball with some vert. Mm-hmm. You like that. The changeup is hard, but it's in between, and it's hard, but guess what? It gets negative vert. It's probably a splitter or a kick changer, for being honest, because that's really hard to throw that hard and get that much vert. And then he also flashed like a cutter slider, which kind of rounded out the movement profile really nicely. If I had like a movement plot on him, I would be super impressed. And it was the hardest fastball of the day, I believe.
I love the idea of it being a kick change because, again, like you said, with the negative vert specifically, that does kind of trigger that bit in my brain saying maybe it is the kick change.
Yeah.
And I love that Rhodes is one of yours because Rhodes is one of my 3 as well that most impressed me. And obviously, credit to you. You're the guy that's providing the video and the stats there on the Twitter machine that got my eyes going wooga. So, Rhys, what about you, man? Is there any pitchers specifically that jumped out at you?
So scrolling through the Twitter machine, as some might call it, Parker Rhodes was definitely someone I even went and I broke down the 11-second clip that Nate posted, and I was really impressed. I think the fastball's got good movement. It seemed like he was trying to backdoor a couple fastballs to righties, which I think is an interesting choice, and I kind of like it, especially in this one sort of inning setting. What did you think of his command? Obviously, throwing control is harder to tell, but what did you think of him hitting the spots the catcher was throwing down?
He walked the first batter, and then he K'd the next 3 all swinging.
Sometimes you got those jitters, right? So it's
stuff over command, right? It's stuff over command, but almost everyone walked the first batter today, and not too many of them bounced back like he did. He was one of, I think, 2 or 3 guys who struck out 3 guys today, and his was the most impressive in my opinion, other than maybe the aforementioned Alex Barr, who did do the White Castle special. I think is what Pitching Ninja coined it, 3 straight breakers to a lefty, and he looked at all of them and punched out. That was pretty cool. But Rhodes is definitely stuff over command, but he showed enough. I mean, to throw 4 pitches, you have to have some feel. Very few guys are out there throwing 4 pitches today. It was a lot of 2 and 3 pitch mix guys, and Rhodes is one of the few guys who had 4 distinct shapes.
Yeah, you gotta love that. The other guy, and I mean, we talked about him before we came on the air. Another one of my guys, the Drew guys that I'm always gonna have such a soft spot for, but Cooper Underwood. Nate, I'm going to steal your line to pitch to you here. You said Cooper, the left-hander, had the most polish of any of the guys you watched during the series game. And I'm curious if you could talk about that because, from getting to know Cooper and knowing a little bit more about his journey, seeing kind of this level of reaction from you, a guy who I trust your pitching knowledge paramount amount. I really would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, he simply pounded the zone and hit his spots, right? Like he controlled in and out to set up his other pitches. He could go up if he wanted to. He had enough velo and enough vert on his fastball to blow past guys up, upwards of 93, 94, with a kind of verti heater at the top of the zone. But he established in and out really well, and he mixed like no one else did, in my opinion. Consistently, he threw the curveball quite a bit, and it was both a looking and a chase pitch, which is something I find is rare to find in young people, to have that kind of command over a curveball and to not just hang it up in the zone or consistently spike it because it's such a big mover. He threw a pretty good changeup. I think the changeup's probably the worst pitch, but he was still, bringing it to like 5, negative 15, which is like a good movement profile. I just didn't think it played as well in the game. And then sweeper sliders like everyone else on the 0 line, 12, 13 horizontal on it. And he threw a couple heaters that were upwards of 20 vert, right? So that's a pretty elite fastball from a lefty. Yeah. Probably lower release height if I had that kind of number. It looked like he was getting down the mound pretty well. The mechanics were smooth, and he was throwing sub-max effort, which is something that matters a lot. I barely took notes on the guys who were throwing at max effort and were hitting like 92. because there wasn't anything left there, and they couldn't hit the strike zone. Right? These guys who looked like they were throwing at 80% and hitting 92, 93 with command, that's something you can work with, right?
Judge my take. How about that? On the schooling system, and that's like A+ to F- or however you want to do it. Judge my take. I think that Cooper Underwood is the most underrated prep arm as of today, after we've seen a guy like Parker Rhodes kind of take that shove upward from this game. I think Cooper Underwood, with the amount of polish, with the amount of growth, with the projectable frame, I think could be a top 200 pick in this draft as like an upside type of prep pitcher.
It's tough because he's not the biggest guy.
Yeah.
Is the one concern. I think he's listed at 6'1", 6'2". It's nothing crazy. He's a pretty slender frame too. I think at the back end of a top 200 is absolutely possible. I think it is, just with the polish that he showed today, and the velo's been taking up so much. Like, it was pretty consistently 92 today, and I know that it wasn't the case more recently.
No. This year, actually, I think, like I said, man, this year from last year to tick up from kind of sitting at 87, 88, and then now to have that progression, like you said, to sit 92 this season. Outstanding. And another thing that I'm not really, and I'm not trying to make this the Cooper Underwood show and the Cooper Underwood hour, but guy struck out 150 batters. Was 9th in the nation, led the state of Georgia. I very much love what Underwood is doing. But Rhys, I'm going to pass it to you. Talk about some pitchers that you like today. Maybe pick Nate's brain.
I wanted to speak more. Do you think that because obviously, things matriculate up from the high school level to the, to the college and everything. Do you think that curveballs are going to have a moment? I want to have a more meta pitching conversation. We've seen this. We've seen the pitching meta go from, what is it right now? Different fastballs with a good breaking ball. Sweeper, we've gone to the sinker sweeper guys. We've gone
non-traditional changeups.
Non-traditional changeups. Do you think the next movement is bringing back the curveball? Because for a while, people thought the curveball was dead. Because if the curveball is just coming in with your standard 12-6 break, it does kind of break right into a batter's nitro zone. So that's why a lot of pitchers went away from it.
I think we're going to go back into harder breaking balls. That's what I've been saying. I think the gyro slider and the death ball curveball. So more 12-6. The big curveball is really tough unless you're a lefty, in my opinion. I think those are the guys who succeed. I don't know why. It just makes way more sense for a lefty with the crossfire. Every lefty, there's so many lefties today. So many lefties today were low 3/4 crossfire guys. It was copy and paste with a really big breaking ball. And Underwood was kind of the only one who showed multiple pitches. Every other guy from that lower slot could only throw the big breaking ball, and that was it. I don't think that's sustainable long term, and the big breaking ball certainly doesn't play very well against both sides, in my opinion. If you can throw a curveball at 80 miles an hour on the 0 line between -5 and -10, the results are really good for MLB pitchers. I know Tread Athletics goes into this a lot. I'm a big fan of their work. And kind of the research is trending. And the harder you can throw a curveball with more kind of up-down rather than side-to-side movement, the better the results are. We haven't seen that take over the prep class because guys like that aren't doing really pitch shaping in the way that college and professional guys are. I think it starts trickling into the MLB game soon. Because, how many guys still throw the big curveball in the MLB?
Not you can probably
They all
count
move
on
to
it.
sweepers, right? They all move to sweepers. At some point, people are going to realize that sweepers aren't the end-all, be-all, and they really only play well against the same hand, and all these things that we already know. But to level up as a pitcher, you have to buck the trend, in my opinion. I think you have to, Paul Skeens with the dead zone fastball, right? Paul Skeens does have a dead zone fastball, but he learned how to make it not a dead zone pitch by expanding his arsenal in different directions.
Hunter Green the same.
That is that is the next evolution of baseball. That's why Paul Skeens is so good, in my opinion, because I think about 5 years ago, the guys at Driveline, if they saw Paul Skeens, would be like, it's a really bad fastball. Paul Skeens' fastball is not bad, right? It's just the numbers are bad. So, and I love Driveline. I don't want to make that a Driveline hate thing. But 5 years ago, that would have been a thing. People.
I mean, it was
fastball's bad.
it was a thing during his draft process. People forget that now, but I mean, people were like, it's a bad fastball, and then it was the meme of the bozo nincompoop and the genius, right? And then there's like everybody in the middle, the bar, whatever you want to call it, right? The bell curve. And it's like bad fastball shape, but he throws 105. So like, he throws 100, so it doesn't really matter. I almost wonder if we could have got an extended look at these guys. Do they start to follow what I think it might also be the next pitching meta? Maybe we're going to get too nerdy of a pitching conversation, but it's like the Michael King, Tyler Holton approach, right? It's you basically are a different pitcher to right-handed batters and left-handed batters. You are basically, to completely destroy the platoon advantage, your arsenal plays in such a different way. I wonder if did you notice any of that going on? I don't know if that's something that's starting, because like you said, things trickle up. Like I think in college next year, we're going to see a ton of curveballs with a lot of these guys, right? I wonder if we're going to start seeing the opposite of, the what do you call them? Like basically being like reverse pitchers or whatever you want to call them, right? That style of pitching. I don't know if you have a fancier name for it than me, but basically the guys who pitch completely different to righties and lefties. Like the fastball is different, the changeup's different, the breaking ball's different. I wonder, did you see anything like that going on?
Guys didn't show deep enough pitchability / pitch mixes to really
to
consistently throw to both sides. Like Underwood succeeded, Barr succeeded because he was like slowing down his arms so much, and he was facing the back end of the batting order, and it's a big breaking ball, and the zone was big, like stuff like that. I have a tough time thinking that like prep guys are ever gonna be good against like the other side of their platoon. Like prep righties are never good against lefty hitters. Like I think that's just part of it, and I think that gets exposed at the higher levels a lot more, where it doesn't get exposed because all you need is a fastball to beat the other side when you're pitching in high school and even in the national circuit. Like it really doesn't matter as long as you can throw like 93 with a little bit of vert. I do think that like in general in the MLB, there are so many good players now that teams are going to be playing platoons more than ever. We've already seen it this year. The Detroit Tigers have mastered the platoon. At first, I was not a fan. I'm fully bought into the Detroit Tigers platoon advantages and how it's working for them. You need 3 pitches against both sides. Like a 5-pitch mix is going to be, I think, more necessary moving forward because of how platoon disadvantages are going to work. Like you need the changeup and the cutter against lefties. Like you need the slider and the curveball or a good changeup that's more like you need 2 pitches to get someone out. Like you can't just have a fastball and a changeup or a breaking ball anymore. I think you need another pitch, and that's just my own thing. I don't know. Like every starter having a 5-pitch mix with 2 for both sides of the plate is something that I did in college because I couldn't get out lefties, so I added a cutter, and it worked out really well for me. It's obviously not the same in the MLB, and more pitches doesn't always mean better.
But you have firsthand experience of that hypothesis being proven true.
Yeah, righties hit sub 200 against me my junior year, and lefties hit 370 against me, which is absolutely insane, right? All of my damage came against lefties my junior year of college, and then I added a cutter, and I didn't give up a run for 20 innings. Like, things changed really fast for me when I was able to get out lefties because a team rolled out 9 lefties against me my junior year of college. And it was one of my worst starts because they saw the platoon advantage that they had. And they rolled out 9 lefties, and I could only throw fastballs and changeups, and it didn't work out very well. That's going to be a real thing. Like, what if a team rolls out 7 lefties against a guy who can only throw a fastball and a changeup, and the changeup's, like, not great? Like, he's a supinator. What are you going to do? Death ball. Cutter. You need something to break that up.
I'm
so glad we're having this conversation.
This might be a stupid question, but do you have the ball on you, Nate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you just walk around with the ball? Like as a former pitcher, do you just stay strapped?
I've never not had a baseball.
Keep that thing on him.
Keep that thing on.
Thank you, Rhys. So Nate, I don't know the level of knowledge. Yeah, and I mean, speaking of keep that thing on him, I don't know the level of pitch knowledge. Can you walk us through, obviously, the 12-6 curveball? These are the 2 pitches you said, the 12-6 curveball and the death ball are the ones that you see coming into vogue coming soon. Can you just show us what that motion is like before we move forward with the pitching discussion?
So when I threw my 12.6, I was still a spike guy because I was such a pronator back in the day that I needed the spike to get anything on a curveball. And essentially, like the way I teach it and the way I was taught is it's all about wrist position, right? It's all about keeping your wrist straight and just throwing down on the baseball. The second that you give your wrist any movement is when you start getting around the ball or you start backing it up, right? We see guys who throw like backdoor curveballs in a way, and that is a really bad pitch metrically 99% of the time. So the strong wrist and just throwing down, and you're really just working fully over this. Like you'll see Yamamoto, he like grips with his thumb up here just to let it come out easier of his hand. And so like he'll ride the thumb up. I was thumb underneath and spike here on this seam and just strong wrist straight down through, and you're even though the ball doesn't spin like this, you're trying to spin it like a reverse four-seam fastball, right?
Like a bowling ball. You're going forward roll.
Yeah.
But again, the shape, obviously, it's in the name. 12-6, as in the clock. You're going as close to vertical, as you said, the zero line, as you can. And then the death ball, please, Nate, go ahead.
Yeah, so when I tried doing it, I kind of had a weirder grip. I was actually on, I don't know if you can see this, I was like on almost like a four-seam fastball. Right, so I was like pretty dang close to it, and I would almost just cock these fingers right here, so there's almost a little bit of space in my pointer finger, and all I would do is try and throw it like a football, right? So come out straight this way rather than any kind of like fastballs here, curveballs here. I would try and throw it like a football almost, and just try and throw almost like how I said 12-6 was here. I was almost a little bit more here, trying to back it up in a sense to try and keep it on that zero line. And if you throw it as hard as you possibly can and you kind of release, like some guys think this way with their breaking balls, you release early so you don't get into pronation and back it up fully. If you release this pitch early and just throw it as hard as you can keep it, 10 miles an hour off your fastball, and it's like an exaggerated gyro slider, which is where you get that death ball shape.
It's
all about intent.
The key thing with that I like, and you're the pitching coach, so you tell me to shut the hell up. It is the gyroscopic spin, obviously, because Rhys, here we go with Drew and his pitching nerdery, but it is the gyroscopic spin that has the least effect from gravity. It zips forward. It's the bullet shape. So there you go. Yes. But yeah, as you guys were talking about that, and I loved the conversation, I was like, I'm curious if the folks at home are aware of why those pitches you're projecting they would become in vogue, because they are so sparsely used nowadays. The splitter is another pitch you guys didn't mention that, it's not as prevalent, but I mean, it's a very in vogue pitch.
2023 was the year of the splitter, right? Like
exactly.
That was
and the sweeper as well. But yeah, just you guys hit on it.
Back in my day, we called those change-ups and sliders.
Back in my day, we called it the slider.
Now there's split changes, and guys are like bringing back Vulcan changes and stuff like. There's so many change-up variations now that it is unbelievable. There's still guys throwing like the good old 3-finger change.
Circle?
I threw the old Vulcan change in the
so
backyard,
like circles like here, right? 3-finger change. Over on the, you're here. You're just 3 fingers on top.
Yeah.
So, and the guys will throw the circle from 4 seams, 2 seams, 1 seam. Like it's ridiculous, and it's the hardest pitch to throw because of that. Because there's no one way to throw it.
As you can tell, I didn't play baseball. I ran cross country and track in high school, so that really explains a lot about. I don't know. I just like this conversation. I think the listeners are going to really enjoy this, because I think that we should be talking about the pitching meta more as prospect people. We need to realize what's playing, what's not, what's coming up through the pipeline, what's not coming up through the pipeline. Like we're not going to see guys go 9 innings anymore in the minor leagues or anything like that, and they shouldn't. And then we're going to see more guys become like Michael Kings, Tyler Holton types. And we need to realize how can someone like Yamamoto, who I believe hasn't really fixed his fastball shape since coming over to the United States, how can he get better? How can he utilize and get around it? And that's with the curveball and everything else. And it can also help you talk about maybe what Roki Sasaki needs to fix. But yeah, I don't know. I'm super happy we're having this conversation. I feel like this is something that I've been dying to have with Nate.
This has been awesome. I've rambled so much this episode, but
this was supposed to be 15 minutes, by the way.
I know.
We have.
This is going to be a long episode.
That's okay though. I mean, dude, you're there. That's the whole point of you being there. And Rhys, I'd love to get just if I could piggyback or maybe pitch something to you off of what you just said, knowing the meta. Also, beyond just knowing what's coming and what, again, like I'm going to use this phrase again, what's in vogue amongst pitchers, it also lets us more clearly see outliers. It lets our viewers and listeners clearly identify an outlier. If they notice that somebody's throwing a 12-6 curve, hey, this is a pitch that you're not seeing every day. This is a pitch that batters are not seeing every day. That's an outlier pitch then, just by virtue of the fact that it's so different.
The 12-6 was getting crushed because everyone threw a 12-6 for the longest time.
Exactly.
There weren't sliders weren't like it was a 12-6 back in the day. Mm-hmm. And you're in between your traditional curveball as you know it now, this more, sideways thing, more horizontal pitch, like it was just a 12-6 for so long. I don't know. It's interesting to talk about, and I feel like Lance Brozdowski, and that was the coolest person I met today by far.
Lance is the man.
Former Prospects Live guy.
I went up to him and I said, "Thank you for founding this and kind of giving me a job." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Prospects Live." He's like, "Nice." I fanboyed a little bit. That was my fanboy moment of the day. I'm
glad that you got to meet him, Nate, since he's kind of your guy. Really quick, I did have one other name written down that we haven't talked about, Reed Worley. I know that Pipeline kind of plugged him as well as being the major spin guy. I believe what they have said that he topped out at 3,200 RPM on I believe it was a curveball. Maybe it says a breaking ball. I'm sorry, but their notes say it's 3,200 on a breaking ball, and then average in his session was over 3,000 RPM. I'm curious, did you get any notes on Reed Worley from workouts, or were you busy at the time?
Yes, I watched his pen. The fastball was suboptimal, was the only problem. It was pretty slow, and it wasn't great shape. I can see the spin here. He only threw a handful of curveballs. I'm seeing 3,200 at the most. His next closest was only 3,000, which makes me wonder if the 3,200 is a little bit of an outlier. He also threw that one harder than anything else he threw. But, I mean, really? -20 horizontal is pretty legit. He threw, like, multiple shapes on his pitches. Like, he was, like, transitioning between, like, sweeper, curveball, slider. And the tagging, the pitch tagging does not have it at all. Because, it, like, even tagged one as, like, a cutter. It was kind of all over the place, in my opinion. As you can see by... Like, if there's a movement plot, it would be pretty messy.
Sure.
But if you can spin a ball 3,200, you can fix a movement plot. So that's really all that matters. That's the only takeaway that matters, is that he can spin a ball consistently over 3,000.
Thank you. Appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah, guys. Should we take a break and just pick up tomorrow now?
Yeah. Works for me.
We'll kick it to ourselves tomorrow.
Goddamn big brother, tell me where.
Wow, what great conversation we had regarding day one. And as of now, Nate, we are going to talk to you about what happened on days 2 and 3 before we get into the 2 exclusive interviews. So, Rhys, I'm going to throw it to you because, Nate, you were there live and in color, live and in living person. That's not a thing, but you were there. And so, Rhys, I'm curious, what are you wondering that Nate can disclose to us from his time at the Combine on days 2 and 3?
How was that your first time ever at Chase Field? What did you think of Chase Field?
It was my first time there. I haven't been to too many MLB stadiums. It was nice that they had everything enclosed, so the AC was blowing. It wasn't too sweaty, but during days 2 and 3, they had like what are those things that lift up off the ground, so you can like, I don't know, it's like a platform, and then it's like a big mini crane that like raises
like a cherry
up.
Picker.
Yeah, something like that. And every time that you move it, it beeps. So for 2 days straight, there was just loud beeping every 2 seconds, ringing throughout Chase Field. So because they were like reconstructing, they were like fixing the foundation. I don't know. It must have been falling apart. So that was
fixing the foundation of the stadium while people are playing.
I don't know. That was the one weird part. I didn't hate the stadium. I didn't like it though either.
I think it's one of the worst. I think it's one of the bottom 5 worst stadiums. The only thing that saves it is it's Phoenix and it has air conditioning during the summer. So I went and saw a World Baseball Classic game there when the U.S. played Great Britain. Shout out Harry Ford and their uniforms that fell apart. But it was not. It's not a being. It's very dark. It's gross. It smelled bad when I was there. It just wasn't a good time.
I spent most of my time on the suite level, so that's pretty nice.
Oh, look at me! I'm Nate. I sit up in the suite level.
Yeah.
Poor Lisa sitting in the outfield.
Did not have my own suite.
Sure.
La-di-da, la-di-da, Mr. Sweet Man.
I took a suite over.
All right, I've got questions about players specifically. So, Nate, can you break out the notebook? I've got questions.
Yeah. What if we start on day 3 really fast? And this is really all I'm going to talk about on day 3. So day 3 at the Combine is all of the medical testing. So they have the guys on tables like measuring different mobility, balance, grip strength, all of those kind of things. They're getting like external rotation of the shoulder and all that. And there's nothing to report on there, right? I haven't gotten those numbers yet. I doubt I'm going to get those numbers. I think the only numbers I'm going to get from today are the 30-yard dash times. And when only like 30 guys ran the 30-yard dash in general, because most people are slow and they don't want that to be out there. So there were only a couple guys who I actually was able to watch that impressed me with speed, and that was James Quinn Irons, is the George Mason outfielder. He ran a 3.6. He also was putting up 110 plus EVs in batting practice. He had 16 home runs and 34 stolen bases at George Mason this year. I think he's one of the best mid-major bats in the whole class, and I think he earned himself a significant payday. I believe he's only a junior as well. So I think he really boosted his stock on day 3, seeing that he was also super fast, because I don't think a lot of people necessarily knew that. Playing in a mid-major, your stolen base numbers could be interpreted multiple different ways. Dax Kilby ran the fastest of the day that I saw at a 3.55, which I think helped him a lot. And then Alton Davis at a 3.59. And William Patrick also at a 3.59. So those were some of the faster guys from the day. And then Kyson Witherspoon looked pretty good. He ran a 3.62. He didn't impress me with the bat, as we talked about just 5 minutes ago or whatnot, but he ran pretty well. And then Tatum Gray ran a 3.88, which is super impressive for a power first guy that is a catcher. Like pretty impressive stuff there. But other than that, there wasn't like a standout time that I saw. So the running, I did not get much from it. Today was mostly prospect interviews. So that's kind of my day 3 recap, and now I'm open for whatever else.
Really quick, I love that Alton Davis was quick, but it almost, to me, and this is just, I don't know how much you knew about Davis coming into the Combine, Nate, but to know that he is fast and to have seen it this season, to know that guys like Kilby and Quinn Irons were faster, that's very impressive. And it almost like puts a star by their name more so for me. So very impressive.
Yeah, I think Kilby was the most impressive runner, him and Quinn Irons.
Compton also, he ran a 3.59, right, according to the Prospects Live Twitter account, which,
yes.
For those who don't know, that's Nate tweeting that. So
I should have
would you
talked
say
about that.
No. I was going to ask a general question because I like Brandon Compton quite a bit. He hit balls, at 116 or 115.
Yeah.
And then he's throwing a 3.59. Do you think that he's probably the player who earned himself the most money for balling out during the Combine?
It's tough to say. I think college guys who have been well scouted have a hard time earning a bunch more money at the Combine. But if there was to be a guy who would do that, switching from metal to wood and increasing your max EV by 2 is the only real recipe for like a well-scouted college guy to really rise up the ranks, which is why Compton even worked out in the first place, because he knew he didn't show very well this year. He didn't show the pop that he had, or really even display the speed, and he showed both of those really well. So he's like the rare college guy at a major school that needed to work out to kind of have a shot at regaining some former pedigree. Compton definitely rose up the rankings. I don't know how far. I've heard people think he's like firmly in day 1. I'm not so sure when you look at his numbers how like high you could go up that. But he definitely earned himself a little bit of an upgrade. I think the prep guys who showed really good skills, like the Tatum Grays who were underscouted out of high school, are the ones who rose the most.
Yeah. Day 1 these days is third round now, right? Like I think they changed it recently.
That's
so
right.
I guess he could be a third rounder and still be a day one pick. I just wanted to know.
I heard
because I've
second
been
round.
loving- Okay.
That's kind of
you guys will be there, right? So
Yeah.
you guys will know better than I
maybe.
will.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
that's
crossed.
that's kind of the thing, Nate, is that I was looking at Compton and just the hype. Now you were there in person, so you're probably getting a lot more of the scuttlebutt from the actual, scouts there in person. But the vibes that we're getting from Compton are big. He's gotten a ton of hype from this past, 3 days, to the point where now I think that, raw skills, at least from a fantasy perspective, I can't see myself pushing him further down than, 80 or 90 on a top prospects for draft list. And I think that it's more likely that he's higher than that.
For a fantasy list, he should be top 50.
Right, absolutely.
I
But
think-
just knowing that my list is going to come from real life skills influencing fantasy, you have to take into account some of the swing and miss, some of the, like you said, dude, the numbers this year were not what he'd want. But either way, Rhys, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you know what's interesting? Looking at some data that I have been able to source, there's nothing really alarming as far as chase rates go or swing and miss stuff outside of sliders. He cannot hit sliders, which it might be a problem, some might say. But yeah, just looking at his data and everything like that, it's not. I think that if he goes into the right organization, they can kind of round up on the hit tool. And if that's the case, we're talking about a power-speed combination that you could be getting. He could be what I thought Austin Overn was going to be.
I think a team that needs to save a little bit of money in the second round is going to look his way. I think Compton has earned that mid-second round possibility.
Maybe somebody goes pretty hefty on a prepster early. And
It's like the Ethan Holiday team could turn around and grab him, right?
And let's just say, hypothetically, that it's a Colorado that gets Ethan Holiday. Imagine Brandon Compton's tools in Colorado.
That would be fun.
That would be fun.
That
It's like
outfield
what?
group in Colorado starts looking kind of fun, Rhys, right?
It's something.
Say yes, Rhys. Say yes. Say it's fun.
Yeah, totally. No, but he's like what, comfortably a plus power plus speed guy if everything all works out well. So it's pretty interesting stuff. It's like if the hit tool gets to a 45, then we're talking about a fantasy star, in a real life star too. But it's maybe a 40.
But if it's
sliders.
a 40, then he's still valuable for fantasy because he'll end up being, I don't know, Randy Rosarina this season, where it's hot and cold.
Here's my comp, and I think it's a pretty good one. I think it's Luke Raley.
That's a great comp.
At like 90th percentile, Luke Raley.
I like yours way better than mine. Luke Raley.
I don't know how his platoon is because I know Luke Raley is notoriously one of the worst left-on-left hitters ever, and I don't think Compton's that bad, but the profile's a lot like Luke Raley. Maybe a little bigger and stockier.
Yeah, I like that a lot, though, Nate. You're onto something with that for sure. I'm curious. Landon Bedoric is a guy from Cincinnati that I looked a lot into from the Knoxville Regional. Because, as you'll recall, Cincinnati runs like nobody's business. And Bedoric stacked up the most stolen bases of any Cincinnati player this year. I thought he was going to be a real threat in that regional against Tennessee. But I noticed Bedoric second on the exit velocity list with a 113.4 on the day. Did that raise his stock in your mind at all?
I'm pulling up my notes right now.
Sure.
Vidoric looked good, but I didn't hear him be discussed as a guy who people were super excited about.
Yeah.
And it looks like I missed his BP group.
Oh, that's
so it looks like I don't even have anything on him personally. Looking at the numbers themselves, how about you say what you really like about Vidoric, and then I'll give you the numbers when I can find them.
I think he'd be an interesting senior sign, late day 2, day 3 kind of guy, because he looks like with this exit velocity, barring some kind of a fluke, I know that his numbers this season weren't encouraging, but I think that he looks like he could be a little more than just kind of empty speed, I guess is what I'm saying.
What it looks like from here is Vidoric had some of the most consistent barrels of the day. All of his swings were upper 90s to 100. His worst hits were 92 miles an hour is what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing hundreds across the board, which is kind of what you expect from an older guy, right? But
yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. Peaked at 113.4 that round. He went 102, 103, 106, 105. Like, that's something that you didn't see at the Combine very often was consistency, right? There are only a couple guys who were consistently hitting the ball hard, like the Brandon Comptons of the world, and even like the Tatum Grays, like had some mishits in there.
Sure.
So I think there's polish or whatnot, but I didn't hear anything really on
That's
him.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah, he had 14 home runs this past season, so he has like sneaky pop. Like it's obviously it's not sneaky anymore if he's having that sort of exit velocities and stuff during the game. Who? So you were talking about scouts talking and buzzing. Who was someone that you were surprised that the scouts were buzzing about?
I don't know if I had any big surprise. I mean, like the big guys that I thought the scouts all loved was Bruin Agbayani, who was the MVP of that high school game on Tuesday. Had a really good BP round on Wednesday. Didn't run today from what I saw because he's not the most athletic guy ever. The bat plays, and the scouts freaking love the kid. I don't know what he's done over in Hawaii to make them like all know him. They all know him. Gabe Grolo got a lot of love too from guys. He was one of the higher tier prep guys who played in like that high school game and was kind of on the field doing a lot of different things. Sebastian Norman, who's the guy who had the highest EVs today in BP. The swing had a lot of problems, and that was kind of apparent. It didn't seem like it was going to play in professional baseball from what I heard. I'm totally doing the reverse of your question because I don't know if anyone necessarily... I mean, like, if I'm being honest, Mason Pike like didn't get a great reception from the scouts based on multiple of his fastballs going to the backstop trying to chase velocity, was what it looked like to me. I didn't watch the full pen, but the scouts did not love that. So I think that was a guy who I think hurt himself in the process. He also really struggled to hit righty as a switch hitter. He could only really hit lefty. So he's a guy who did hurt himself. There's like a couple pitchers who are like sitting like 86 too, which, you know, I don't want to kill the kids, but
Yeah, Anakin, don't do that. How about this? Let me ask this. Can you think off the top of your head of any right-handed pitchers that had just insane gas, had really good break on their pitches, a couple different shapes? Anybody come to mind by chance?
yeah. Are you talking about Zane Taylor?
Yeah, of course. Talk about Zane Taylor.
You're talking about Jaden Stroman, right?
Yeah, of course. Jaden Stroman. Talk about Nate Snead.
Nate Snead was very, very impressive. The most live arm of the whole combine. Let me pull up my numbers on him.
Sure. I do want to just say, the joke was obviously to set up Snead, but I was hyper impressed to see Stroman up to 97. I thought that Stroman, honestly, with the break on the fastball, too, was insane. Loved
Jaden
seeing
Stroman
that.
was one of the biggest winners of the week.
Loved seeing that for him, obviously. And then Taylor, can't give any discount to him, but I want to hear you talk good about a Tennessee boy, please.
Yeah, so Snead showed real feel for multiple pitches. The curveball, I wouldn't say the shape was ideal, but when you throw that hard, you don't necessarily need the best shape on a pitch. And the curveball was hard, right? It was like up to 84, which was pretty cool. All the fastballs are sinkers, right? So he's getting up to, 17, 18, 19 arm side on it while living below 10. So it's kind of a true sinker that you see from those like really hard throwing guys from his slot. The changeup he showed feel for, but not consistency with the movement. The vert was kind of all over the place, which kind of tells me that it's a work in progress changeup, which is almost everyone's changeup nowadays. And then he had like a cutter, which was like I had it at 12.6 on one of his pitches, and then the next pitch I had it at 4.4. So it was like inconsistently shaped cutters. He would kind of bounce back and forth. Maybe there's a cutter and like a gyro slider in there that he's tinkering with. Just inconsistent breaking ball shapes. But my initial thought and what someone said behind me was like, that's like the freshman reliever that is always on like the really good team, right? Like you see these teams in Omaha with like these freshman relievers who throw 97, 98, and they find a role their first year. That's what Nate Snead looked like to me. But I don't think he'll make it to campus.
Snead was a freak. So
I do want to talk about Jaden Stroman. I think he earned himself the most money of almost anyone.
Ooh. Where would you draft him? then? Just
That's a
curious,
great question, Rhys.
I think day one's a real possibility. I think third round. I think you could give Jaden Stroman $1 million.
He's some like,
Wow.
you know, we know with first round like high school righties, it just doesn't work. Like the odds are stacked against you. I wonder if he's someone that if he's your second pick, then you feel a lot more comfortable, you know, making that, you know, maybe he's. Ooh, I'm trying to think of a good organizational fit. I did read or hear that like the slider's been like a new thing for him. I wanted to know what you thought about that. It's like been like a 5-month thing for him. And guess who taught it to him? His brother. So, and his brother had a pretty good slider.
Interesting.
So here's the problem with the slider: is it did not have consistent shape unless he was throwing a curveball and a slider. It was like very spike heavy, and it felt like it was either like hung, like backed up, or like down, like spiked, which kind of throws off your metric. Like if you're not throwing them in like a good spot at least a couple times, like how can you really get a feel for like what the shape is? And the shapes were kind of all over the place. I think it was more so the movement profile, like it was sharp, like it broke, and it played off the fastball really well with the high break fastball, because it's almost more of a curveball than a slider. It's kind of it's slurve, right? It's a slurve, and he had a pretty good changeup. He didn't have a whole lot of feel for it in the outing. It was a little flat, but like good enough changeup, and then he showed sinker and four seam fastball. And the four seam, I think it topped out at 19.3 vert, which is, you know, one of the better marks the whole day, while riding between like 3 and 7 horizontal. Like it's a very good pitch. He doesn't spin it anything very well, in my opinion, but his curveball was tight. And everyone was really impressed with him all week. Not hitting, obviously, not hitting. He's not a hitter. The fact that he went there as a two-way is kind of like the Mason Pike experiment, where it's like, all right, let me sell out and try and get a couple home runs, just like Pike was trying to sell out to get a couple 96s. And I just think teams just like have to ignore that kind of part of it. He's not a two-way.
I wonder if it's a leveraged play. It's like like you kind of have to announce him as a two-way, because
there's a lot of guys who did that this week.
Yeah, like I know that there's a prominent catching prospect who is okay if you pay him a little bit more to be announced as an outfielder. I'm not going to say who, but I think we all kind of know who it is. So yeah, like, that's one of those things where maybe he went in, maybe thinking it would be a leverage play of some sort, because this is ultimately a game to try and get money, because it's not like the NFL Combine where once you're drafted, unless you're Shamar Stewart, you're kind of locked into something.
I think Stroman's a 7-figure player. I wonder where teams start to look at him. I think it's probably in that comp B area, as a bit of it's a high upside play, right? It's a very high upside play. He's bigger than Marcus Stroman. Like he's not small, but he's not big, but he's not Marcus Stroman small, you know. And no one expected him to kind of flash what he did. Is kind of what the vibe was. I think it was kind of like a surprisingly polished performance. And here's my other piece: is he's committed to Duke. Duke just lost their head coach.
Yeah.
Are you really like he's not going to fall? Because isn't the whole reason he's committed to Duke because his brother went there, right? Am I totally wrong here?
No, you're correct.
Yeah.
But to be
Marcus
fair,
went there.
didn't Duke just sign Wake Forest's pitching director to be their coach?
That's what I was going to say, because they lost out on Murray State's
Correct.
head coach.
Lost out on Skirka, so they went and changed. And I can't remember the gentleman's name, but do you think, Nate, that now that might be? Well, I don't know. You were committed to Duke. You were committed to the previous administration, so to say. I get what you're saying, and I do think that, like you said, this kind of showing almost gives him the leverage to say, maybe this is my better option.
Yeah. If I was the new head coach, I would throw $500,000 at Stroman. But the thing is, Duke doesn't have money to spend on NIL. They don't that school does not make money for their athletic department. Baseball does not have the NIL budget of other teams that they're playing against.
But
they don't have the money to compete with $1 million from the MLB. He comes from.
I'm not trying. I'm not going to try and get into his financial status by any means, and that's not my business. But he does come from a brother his brother has made quite a lot of money, to the point where it drives Yankee fans mad that option might get picked up. So I wonder. There's a lot of differing outside circumstances with him. I wonder if he commits to Virginia in the next couple of days as a leverage play. Or he could just really like Duke and want to go there because it's a great. If baseball doesn't work out, it's not bad to have a Duke collegiate degree. What am I talking about?
He'll two ways his freshman year.
Yeah.
He might two way his whole career. He had juice. Like, don't get me wrong. He wouldn't hit as a freshman, but he would pitch as a freshman. He has all the leverage right now. You're 100% right. And I think it depends on what Marcus thinks is the best move to get him into an org. They're going to be picky about orgs. I don't think Stroman's a fan of all the orgs out there. He's a strong opinion individual. I don't know. I know it's a lot on Jaden Stroman, but he was one of the biggest guys of the week.
Marcus has also played for 4 different organizations, at least as a professional. So he's got that's quite a few teams that he knows relatively intimately, that he could give that insight.
Yeah. And he's played for so long, he can ask people. He kind of has it's almost as much leverage as any agent can sort of drum up. And you know what's interesting? The way you're describing with the way his pitches move, the team that makes like a really good fit in my mind would be the New York Mets. They do really well with that sort of pitch repertoire. It's just Marcus didn't really have the greatest time as a Met, so I wonder if that still hangs over. But it is a different regime. So maybe that opens up some things. I don't know. I feel like I'm psychoanalyzing a guy I'll never meet. So,
no,
but it's interesting to talk through
team,
these.
Yeah.
A pitching dev team would really work well with this clay. I agree with you, Rhys, that I think that Marcus may kind of at the Mets specifically, but I like what you're going for with that a lot.
But it is I think it's a different coaching staff entirely. I think that was when Buck Showalter was there, and I mean, Carlos Mendoza is not much better. He's also runs the team like it's the 1980s. But they do, they have Stearns and everything. I don't know. I'm just more. I guess I'm speaking out loud. I'm very fascinated by Stroman. He's someone that I'm in a group chat with a bunch of people like BP, Baseball America guys, and Stroman's been someone that they've all been fascinated with. And I think Stroman making himself this sort of money has really helped him. And like you said, Nate, if you're going to say that you could throw $1 million at him, then I think that makes him a lot more. Then he's definitely. The steps have been taken for him to become a really good pitching prospect.
Yeah, the fastball shape just it gives him this edge now. I don't think anyone was expecting.
Did you get release height on it?
No, that's one thing I didn't. Some people had release height there. I don't know how they got that information. I tried asking around.
They pulled out a ruler. They just measured it up.
They're just standing there next to it with like a tape measure.
Yeah, I should have hacked the Hawkeye.
Don't clip that.
But moving into some other guys that I liked, Matt Barr, Niagara County Community College, is the number 1 JUCO pitcher in this class. He's been up to 97, 98. He's committed to University of Tennessee. Go Vols, right, Drew?
Yeah.
And he was apparently throwing a sub-max bullpen, which I am wondering if it was the truth or not. He was 93 at his top, 93.6 Rhys. And so he was in the lower 9s when he was supposed to be kind of an mid to upper 9s guy. So if it was sub max, then that would explain a lot of things. He wasn't getting a whole lot of movement on any of his pitches, except he was spinning it really well, right? So the fastball, kind of average vert, and if it was sub max, that makes a lot more sense because it's a weird profile for a guy like him. And then he had a really, really good slider, right? So it was like 0 to 4 vertical, and then from like 0 to -6 horizontal. And he spun it really well up to 3,000 RPMs. He showed feel for a sinker as well. And yeah, I don't know. Matt Barr is just kind of one of those guys who is probably going to be like 3rd or 4th round. But I don't think he makes it to campus. He was just one of the bigger name pitching prospects there, if I'm being honest, just because of, being like the stories of JUCO guys, right? Like we saw with Mizorowski a couple of years ago. It's like some of these JUCO guys are really fascinating. And he had a good enough mix, right? But the whole sub-max bullpen thing threw me off.
Could you explain for those at home? I know what a sub-max bullpen is. I imagine Drew knows what a sub-max bullpen is. But for those that don't know, what is a sub-max bullpen name?
I should really call it a touch and feel. because that's what
Okay.
people were calling it. I always use the word submax for some reason. Touch and feel bullpen is like you're operating between like 80 and 90%. Normally your breaking balls have higher intent than your fastball. You're trying to hit spots. You're trying to maintain shapes. You're trying to work in and out, and it's kind of like your tune-up. So like in college, I would throw a touch and feel before every game, or before like the day before a game. So if I was pitching on a Friday, I'd throw one on a Thursday, like 15 pitches, and it doesn't tire your arm out too much. That makes it sound like he's either ramping back up or he's ramping down, but you don't really down ramp like that. So I don't know what the deal with Barr is. I don't think he's injured, but it's just weird throwing a touch and feel bullpen at the MLB Combine.
What I'm wondering too is with it being a northeast, what do you call it? A northeast JUCO, how long their season went, because it does snow and stuff up there. You can't play baseball in the snow, from what I hear. So I wonder if it's just like a weird like scheduling quirk of it, his season being up in Niagara.
He would have started the year late. Like those JUCOs start later because of the weather. Mm-hmm. So it feels like this would be like the prime, and also
ramp-up season.
He would be playing summer ball probably. Like he would be in the Cape, I would assume, being the best JUCO arm and going to Tennessee. So something under the hood and research I could not find online has led to this kind of confusion, but I don't think it matters a whole lot because he passes the eye test and the breaker's still 3,000 RPMs.
Maybe he thought this was a better chance to rise up the board than playing in the Cape because, you never know what's going to go on at the Cape. It's a more controlled environment. I don't know. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. You would know better than I would, Nate.
I just think submax or touch and feel bullpen was just, I don't know,
an interesting choice.
I don't know. I should have talked to more people about that, and maybe I will ask some questions because that is an interesting one. The last two guys I would want to talk on are Tim Piacentin. He is from Canada. I've been seeing this guy all over Twitter for weeks now, and he looked the part at the Combine. It was really impressive left side kind of lift and pull. One of the more advanced high school swings I saw all week. He hit some of the most home runs out of everyone. Like he'd really kind of mastered like launch angle with his swing. It sounds like he's been rising up boards. He was a guy that scouts talked about a little bit. I don't know if I have a good projection of where he's going to go, and I actually don't even know where he's committed to either. But being like the number one prep guy in Canada makes me think that he'll sign. I don't know if he's a day one prep guy by any means, but like day two for $500,000. I don't know. I should have done more research on his range.
Keep in mind, Canadians graduate a year early, so for a model-based team, they will pop a lot more because he's going into the draft as a 17-year-old as opposed to the 18, that we have domestically, or sometimes 19 years old. It's an interesting quirk when I was researching. Who's the catching prospect for the Rays? Nathan Fluing. Yeah, he was a Canadian. He's from Red Deer, Alberta, and he was 17 years old when he was drafted. And they also did it with Emilion Pitre. Pitre. They have two French Canadians in that system. So, but yeah, Canadians graduate a year early. Just for those who don't know at home.
Piacentin is committed to Miami. 6'3" with room to add to the frame, which is kind of I think the most exciting thing. It's like kind of like a wiry-ish 6'3". I'm seeing outlets have him as a high day two pick, which I think adds up. I think 5th round, $500K.
And let me tell you, all of Canadian baseball came out to support him on Twitter because I have access to the Prospects Live Twitter account, and they was going crazy. So shout out to him, and shout out to Canada.
Yeah, the last guy I want to talk about is Ma'Kale Holden. Drew, you tipped me off on this guy, and do you want to start this off before I get into anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I need to shout out former P-Live scout and my homie Brian Recca. So shout out to Recca, who sold me on this kid so that I could sell you on this kid so that you and I together can boost him up going forward. Recca gave me probably like 2,000 words on this guy, who he is just incredibly high on. It's an immaculate swing, Nate. For my money, I'm curious what your thoughts are on his swing. On the athleticism, because I I think the makeup is what sells me the most on him, but the swing is very, very nice.
Yeah, I think him and Tate and Gray had my two favorite swings of the whole combine. I think Olivedo. I think other people knew because when you think of the draft combine, there were only a couple outlets there, right? There's just me and a couple other kind of like media people down there actually watching. And when he came up, I was the only media person who was like I immediately
Locked
started
in.
videoing, but the scouts were locked in. Like it was almost like the guy that they were waiting for. First round goes 110.2, which was the max, and then everyone pulls out their phones and is like, wait, who is this kid? And then the rest of his rounds were just like solid barrels, like a lot of 105 to 99 kind of mixed in there. I thought the swing was super sound. The only concern is like, is he a catcher? And also, will he want to go to school? Because it sounds like he's the smartest kid in the world. I watched a video he posted on his X where he like made a recruiting video for himself. It was one of the best recruiting videos I've seen, like good editing and stuff like that. Like the kid is obviously like
Committed to Yale, Nate.
very smart kid.
Is he looking to work at Prospects Live?
Shoot him a DM, Rhys.
Yeah, he was one of the more impressive guys. I don't know if he's a catcher is the problem. I think he's probably some kind of utility. I think you could stick him most places because he has good movements and such. Like he's athletic. Everything I saw online and such was like high IQ baseball player, which, wow, really? Am I surprised? No. I don't know the long-term position. It might be like a second base. I don't think he hits enough to play first base, but it's possible. I don't know if there's a really good fit. Second base doesn't make a lot of sense either. I just don't think it's maybe catcher long term. He caught some of the bullpens. I know bullpen catching you can't really look at, but even online, I didn't love what I saw behind the plate. But the kid can hit. He can absolutely hit. And I'm wondering how high he is now because he was it felt like he was a not on the radar guy. So like, I don't know if you have to pay him a whole lot of money, but he's one of the more interesting prepsters in this class.
I
wonder if he ends up on campus to try and be a catcher. I'm sorry, Drew. I keep cutting you off. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. I love listening to you guys because y'all are bringing the goods for this review. But I'll say this. Rhys, you say a lot about how you appreciate my bold takes because I'm okay with being wrong and I'm okay with being kind of like out on a limb. I don't know that I'm going to be as out on a limb on this as I might be otherwise because I think Rekka's certainly with me. I think Nate's going to be with me. I think Olive might be, Alvito might be like top 75 for me. I think there's so much makeup here that it overwrites so much of the question marks. Because again, and I hate to just kind of keep plugging Rekka, but follow Brian Rekka on everything because he's the man. But the things he's told me about his makeup from talking to Michael and his family, it's just so encouraging. This is the sort of player that takes off when he gets pro-level instruction for the first time, and I think that it's going to be like a rocket ship to the moon kind of thing. So I want every part of that, is all I'm saying.
I mean, his max EV in February indoors was only 99 miles an hour, and he's popping 110 4 months later.
That's all I'm saying.
He's listed on a lot of things online as a catcher/utility. He was the number 17 ranked catcher according to some outlets, heading into the draft or whatnot. I don't know. It sounds like he's rising really fast, and I think he should end up in an org because it's just a really exciting frame. It's just a really exciting frame and a really nice swing that would play right away. It would play right away, no matter where you put him.
Yep, I agree. Well said. Glad you got a good chance to watch and get some insight with him.
Yeah. Some other guys who impressed me, like Josh Gibbs, had a super pretty swing. He was a scout's favorite out there. Eli Pitts made an appearance. Ma'Kale Holden had really good breaking balls. His velo was down. Shane Van Dam from NC State, who I interviewed as well, looked really good. Just a couple more guys there. And I will be posting a full recap with Razzers and followers and more insight in a couple days. So you can get my full thoughts there.
I can't wait to get your full thoughts there.
I think we should kick it over to our interviews now. And then after the interviews, you will get a little bit of Omaha talk and head right into Prospects Live news and what's on your mind. Sound good? Let's go.
Sounds
For
good to
me.
Where you used to be something.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Prospects Live at the MLB Draft Combine. Doing interviews here, and we have a familiar face for you guys. Ma'Kale Holden is back with us. Previously, you talked to Drew, and that was one of my favorite interviews on the site. Such a good conversation about baseball and life and so many other things. And we're so thankful that you made some more time to be on here with us today. So how's your combine been going?
It's been going great. It's definitely a joy, and I'm blessed and thankful to be out here, especially with all the top prospects in the country. So definitely excited to be out here.
It's pretty cool. I missed your bullpen. I was up here doing some interviews. How did that go for you? How did you feel out there on the big mound?
I felt really good. Felt like my shapes were good.
Yeah.
Ball was kind of the hand really well, so felt good.
Yeah, that's you can't complain, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about pitching in general. So I've been doing kind of the pitch grips thing with a lot of people here. So there's baseball behind you. Now I want you to kind of walk us through your different pitches and what you're thinking with your grip and your release and so forth. So let's start out with the fastball.
Yeah, so I throw a ride cut four seam,
Okay.
so I tuck my thumb under,
Yeah.
and then I naturally have a longer middle finger than a pointer finger, so
Yeah.
I get that natural cut.
Yeah.
So, and then my two seam sinker-ish.
Okay.
Is there. I just kind of try to rip it.
Yeah.
Just grip it and rip
Yeah,
it.
thumb on the side. Is that kind of where you find your comfort
Yeah,
at?
I made an adjustment during high school season because it was a little bit more verty.
Yeah.
In the high school season, I wanted more depth on it, so I kind of moved to the side, so
Yeah.
I just stuck with it.
Are you thinking about kind of angling wrist at all, or are you throwing it just the same wrist action as your fastball and letting the grip do the work?
Well, I'm a supinator, so it's just I naturally get around the ball.
Yeah.
So
You're getting
with
that
me
seam shift?
yeah, a little bit.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I really don't want to try to get into it,
Yeah.
but I mean, it works.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
stick with
right.
it.
That's
so.
my job, right? The seam shifted wake stuff is fun, especially when you do it without even knowing. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, I could throw a like I coach or whatnot, and teaching like a young kid who cuts the ball really well, they can actually fade something is pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's your favorite off-speed pitch of yours right now?
I would have to say that my slider and my changeup.
Okay.
I
Okay.
kind of redid my changeup because
Okay.
it was harder for me to get on the inside of the ball
Yeah.
with a traditional circle change. So I kind of went to a Vulcan,
Okay.
little Vulcan grip.
Yeah, let's show
and
that
then-
grip off. Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like
Absolutely,
that, and
yeah.
then just kind of
Yeah.
just rip it. So
Yeah. Do you have any cues for that at all? Or are you thinking anything different, or are you thinking throwing like a fastball?
I'm really thinking throw it through his face mask because
Okay.
I know if I try to aim low and try to get
Yeah.
try to play the bottom of the zone, I'm
Yeah.
gonna spike it. So
Absolutely.
I just try to aim at his catcher's mask
Yeah.
and then just let it work.
Yeah. And now, how about for the slider?
My slider, it's more like a slider cutter.
Absolutely.
So it's the same grip as my two seam, but I kind of move the thumb under.
Okay.
And kind of keep a more firm wrist on it, and then just rip it. So
Yeah. So something I've always heard is to keep a slider hard, you think cutter when you're throwing it, and if
Yeah.
you're a supinator, you'll naturally kind of get that little extra. Are you trying to throw that slider as hard as you possibly can when you
Yeah.
throw it? Okay.
That's why it's my favorite off speed because
Yeah.
it's not really off speed in my head,
Yeah.
but I mean I just
well,
grip it and
you're
rip
really
it.
not that far off from a fastball grip. Like, this is a comfortable grip, right? You're
Yeah.
pretty tucked too. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
so-
Have you ever played around with any other pitches, or are those kind of your four right there?
I also have a curveball as well. It's
Absolutely,
like a 11-5 shape. I
Okay.
just kind of try to get on top of it.
Yeah.
And with my natural arm slot, I mean, I really can't get a 12-6, so it's really on the side. Just get that natural 11-5 shape to it. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Do you have any kind of cues that you do with the curveball as far as grip? Are you thinking release early on it? I've heard that one thrown around a lot. I've heard, strong wrist, pull a chain down in front of you.
Yeah.
Do you have like a cue that you prefer for the curveball?
I really just try to one, I make sure my thumb is kind of diagonal to my
You
middle
create
finger.
that straight line between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of just try to just get on top of it and then just try to just pull it down.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thing.
It's
just pull down.
natural, some
Yeah.
might say. Absolutely. So my next question here is if you had a dream 1, 2, 3 pitch sequence for a strikeout, how would you set a batter up and how would you finish them off?
Well, I would say if I could throw these pitches, I would do sweeper,
Yeah.
sweeper to start off,
Okay.
righty sweeper,
Yeah.
and then
Are you freezing him on that, or is he swinging through it?
just swinging through it,
Okay.
and then I like to throw a sinker in, just
Yeah.
kind of make that tunnel.
Yeah.
Probably go back to another sweeper,
Yeah.
but just throw as hard as I can, just
Yeah.
get that pitching ninja type sweeper.
Right?
So,
Yeah. That's what we're trying to do here. If you can't tell with the grips and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're on the mound, do you have like a phrase that defines you? So I've heard, attack, dominate the zone, stuff like that. MLB orgs do it, college teams do it all the time. My personal motto when I used to be a pitcher was F you on the mound.
Yeah.
Right? There's a bunch of different mottos. Do you have like a phrase that defines you as a pitcher or that you think of?
Yeah, I have two. It's just like, go be you.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, don't try to be like anybody else. Like, you're good enough, so just go out and be yourself.
Absolutely.
And then really just like that, really like a, freak you mentality,
Yeah.
I'm better than you, so just go out and
It's the
compete.
confidence in your preparation, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've prepared a lot for this. Moving into, this draft cycle and throughout the summer, what is it that you're really trying to improve in your game right now?
Really just overall my training. I know early in my career I just kind of just focused on just getting big,
Yeah.
but now it's really honing in on pitching, like pitching more, like more focused on pitching workouts. So
Absolutely.
like focusing on like rotational power, core
Yeah.
power, how much force I can go produce through the ground. So that's really what I'm like focusing more on. So I'm excited.
You can kind of dedicate your life almost a little bit more to baseball now with high school being over and stuff like that.
exactly.
Like you have the free time to really dive into the pitching head on. I think that's really cool. My last kind of baseball topic for you is the mental game of baseball, right? Baseball is a game of failure.
Yeah.
You could throw a perfect pitch dotted on a corner, it could get sent 450, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. How do you stay sane knowing that you're going to fail in this sport time and time again? How do you persevere through that?
Yeah, so understanding, obviously my faith is very important in my life, so understanding that, I can only control what I can control and
Yeah.
everything else out of my hands. So just going out there and competing, being myself, and overall just like, being me and understanding that, everything else out of my control, I did all the preparation and that I can do. So I feel confident in my game and who I am. So,
Yeah.
overall that's just how I attack this game.
You've earned this, right? You've earned this. So in Drew fashion, because he's not here with us, we have our other podcast co-host with us. Rhys. It's a little weird. Actually, what do you think did you just hear me say what his name was?
I'm going to say Jack. He looks like a Jack.
He looks like a Jack.
Yeah.
I'm just not even going to tell you his name. I'm going to start calling him Jack now. But I printed out a picture of our other co-host. But Drew loves the this or that and rapid fire questions. So in Drew fashion, he sent me some, and I'm going to go over a couple of these with you really quick.
Let's do it.
Okay? What is the best M&M flavor? Type of M&M? There's so many now. What's your favorite?
I'm not really an M&M's guy.
Okay.
But I like the green ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like the green ones.
The green M&M. Favorite ballpark food?
Favorite ballpark food? Gotta go with the funnel cake. Funnel cake. Let's do a foot long.
Okay.
And some nachos. Yeah.
That's a whole. That's a feast for a king right there. Are you a YouTube guy / what's your favorite YouTube channel? Just kind of watch mindlessly.
I'm definitely a YouTube guy. I'm not really into the Netflix.
Yeah.
So I'm really YouTube, watching highlights, MLB games, and really just like I may sound random, but fishing videos.
Okay.
Like I like to see people fishing. It's just it's like interesting because like you don't know when they're gonna like hook on to the fish.
Absolutely.
And then you don't know what kind of fish it's gonna be. So
I love that. It's calming, right? Like I play Fishing Simulator on the PS5, right? Like it's like you're just sitting there doing nothing. Are you a fisherman? Do you fish in your?
I do fish.
time?
Yeah.
Okay.
During my free time, it's more I fish with my friends.
Yeah.
So it's really just peace of mind and just.
Yeah.
Get my mind off of baseball, just
Unwind,
just
right?
be me. Yeah.
There's nothing better than having a hobby with the boys, right?
Yeah. And also I really want to go deep sea fishing.
Okay.
It's really just to see like the
Absolutely.
struggle and get like
get
a
on
500 pound
big boat.
fish.
Have you ever seen Dangerous Catch?
I haven't. No.
It's terrifying because they're the deep
Actually,
sea
hold
fishermen.
on. Yeah. I have.
I get those clips on like my Instagram or whatever all the time, and they're a lot could go wrong on those boats. There's some big waves out there, man. I don't know.
Especially on like New Zealand area.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but there's some crazy fish. The biggest things you've ever seen in your life, man.
Yeah.
Okay, this is in honor of Rhys. Do you like the idea of the deep sea and the unknown down there?
No.
That's what I agree with you. He thinks the deep sea is so cool.
I mean,
it kind of scares me.
I can see where he's coming from,
Yeah.
but like, nah.
Yeah.
Because like it could be a 600-foot fish that we don't even know about.
Oh, yeah.
That's like what 25,000 meters below.
There's those crazy fish that hang out in the deep sea, and they're the ugliest looking things. Straight out of nightmares. I'm not about it. But my last question for you today is who your baseball GOAT is and why. It doesn't have to be, the unanimous best player of all time, but who's your personal GOAT?
Mine has got to be Randy Johnson, just because like
In Arizona too.
Yeah, it's true. He's a dog.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like to pick across his brain and understanding like he had to fail first before he like succeed early in his career. So understanding that and where he is and understand that he just had to keep working.
Yeah.
And so I like his mindset, the way he attacks hitters and who he is. So
that's a great pitcher. That's a scary pitcher, Go.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. Like teams
and
should be
and he's like, you see him and he's like a behemoth and he's scary. So that's what I want to be. So.
Do you think you have a similar kind of presence on the mound? Are you
Yeah.
getting there? Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't seen you play in person. I'm gonna have to now.
Yeah, it's like
you got the Randy Johnson aura.
It's like off the field, I'm just regular, but like on the field, it's like I'm a really intense guy on the field.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Absolutely,
I like that.
man.
I like that part of my game.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been so much fun once again. Quickly shout out the socials. Let the people know where to find you. Now you're a current guest at Prospects Live, which means that you can come back anytime you want.
Yeah.
So go ahead and shout yourself out, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, for sure. So you can follow me on Instagram at Ma'Kale.Holden, _, and on Twitter at all lowercase, Ma'Kale Holden.
Great.
So,
Go follow them, guys, and thank you so much for being here. Really
Yes, sir.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to Prospects Live at the MLB Draft Combine, and I am joined by, well, we were just talking about it, maybe the most infamous guest in Prospects Live history, Xavier Neyens. This is your third time joining a Prospects Live type of show, so we appreciate the love that you're showing us and all that, and I just want to check in. How's the Combine been for you, and what are you really getting out of this experience here?
The Combine's been awesome. I'm just doing meetings here, so it's been good for the most part. You just kind of go into the rooms. I guess ask some different questions. It's usually rinse and repeat, but it's been going super well.
Absolutely, that's great to hear. You just won a high school state championship, and on our last time that we talked, you had mentioned that you were in playoffs at the time, and your goal was to win the championship after getting second place the year before in Washington State. What was that feeling like, finally winning the state title?
It was amazing. Like, honestly, it still hasn't kicked in fully yet that I'm a state champion, but getting the final out and hosting that trophy up, it was something that we missed doing last year, and it was awesome to do it this year.
The 4 years building to that moment, right?
Yeah,
you ended
sure.
on the highest possible note that you could have.
The best way to go out.
You've got some momentum heading into this summer, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to talk a little bit about what you're working on right now. So you got a little time off from playing games and all that right now. What are you really kind of in the lab on right now, as far as your swing or just baseball in general?
Yeah, like baseball in general, swing wise, just keep on doing my thing. Like, I'm just trying to really simplify it as much as possible, make sure there's no wasted movement, so I can be efficient as possible in my swing, and then keep lifting weights, keep throwing the baseball a little bit. So yeah, and also working on a lot of glove work.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Moving on to something we talked about last time, have you been able to go see Shenton play in Tacoma, and how's your relationship with him going? Has he been kind of helping you out through this process?
Yeah, he's definitely been helping me out through this process quite a bit. I call him probably once every couple days, and we just chat it up for 45 minutes if he's on the ride home from the ballpark. But I've only gotten to see him once. It's hard to get down to Tacoma.
Well, Seattle traffic, man.
Yeah, for sure. And and they usually play late at night, and then Mount Vernon's not. It's not close to Tacoma, so I've only seen him once. But the one game I did go to, he hit a walk-off homer, so it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, there you go. And he obviously didn't attend the draft combine because it's a newer event, but he has been in these meetings before or whatnot, and is obviously a great resource. So it's really cool you got a guy like that.
For sure.
Diving into the hitting side a little bit more, what's kind of your go-to hitting drill nowadays, and kind of what's your thought process behind doing it?
Yeah, I like to do one-hand drill stuff,
Okay.
Especially when if you feel like you're pulling off the ball a little bit, rolling over too much, or you're not staying through that outside pitch. My go-to is just one-hand drills and really trying to stay through center field, because for me, I feel like that gets me locked in. So before any full swings in BP, it's bottom hand, top hand, working through center field, and I run through that about twice.
Are you using the short bat for that, or are you using the regular?
I'm just
bat?
using my regular bat, choke up a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. Talking a little bit about mental skills here, right? We talk about baseball as this game of failure, where you can fail 7 times out of 10 and be a Hall of Famer. What kind of mental skills have you been developing over the years that have served you well and maintained your love for the game despite the failure built into everything?
Yeah, just knowing that failures are part of the game, and it's something that's going to happen, and knowing the right way to deal with it, instead of taking failure and saying, man, I suck. Taking it and use that failure to get better, learn from that failure, and ultimately then failure is going to happen, but if you can learn from it, you can really benefit.
Are you a guy who gets motivated by your failures? Like, do you look back on times and maybe you weren't up to your own standard, and do you use that to fuel you today?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
I love that. One last thing. We did talk a lot of Legos last time we were on the pod. Any new Legos? What are we working on right now? Anything you're looking at, maybe?
Yeah, I got like what's it called? I got the Technic F1 Technic set. Yeah. It's I've never built a Technic set.
That's what you were saying. Yeah.
My uncle got it for me. He's like, yeah, I watched your interview and you said you'd never built one, so I got it for you. So I got that one. I haven't started it yet, but I'm definitely gonna probably get into it here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, you got a little bit of time. School just finished and all that. So leading up to this draft cycle, we appreciate you coming on so much, and wishing you the best of luck. And
of course.
And yeah, thank you for being the Prospects Live recurring guest, man.
Of course,
Appreciate
you.
Thank you. All right, guys, and we are back from that break in those awesome interviews. Ma'Kale Holden and Xavier Neyens, two absolutely great interviews, great guys, and now they're recurring guests on the Prospects Live site, which means that they have to come on anytime we ask them. That's just kind of how it works. So they are now signed to Prospects Live, and that's great. Rhys, we got some new coworkers. Let's get right into Omaha. We did a great job kind of predicting this championship matchup, Coastal Carolina versus LSU. All of us were on both of these teams kind of throughout the whole playoff process. I am very proud of us. Rhys, we've come a long way since going 0-8, so I'm going to go right to you.
Oh, dude. Thank goodness UCLA did not make it. Oh my God, I don't know what I would have done if they made it. But no, we don't have to worry about that. And yeah, I'm not going 0-8. I'm only going 0-1 probably this time. So whoever I pick, I'm very sorry. Don't take it personally. And if you're listening to this, I would, if you can do so responsibly and legally, gamble on the other side, because I've been terribly wrong this postseason.
Yeah, I was just looking at me and Adam's messages because I forgot we made a bet where if UCLA won, I had to change my Twitter profile picture, and I bet him back if Coastal won, he had to change his. So I just wanted to remind him of that. Drew, I'm going to kick it to you, though.
You're going to be cashing in on that, huh?
Yeah.
So what's the terms of that?
I don't know. I just texted him and said, remember this. So we'll see what the lawyer has to say.
We will see. You've got it in writing. That's half the goal.
Yeah.
He's going to lawyer his way out of it.
I have a feeling, yeah.
Nah, whatever. Yes, I'm excited. So I'll kind of take the opposite approach of Rhys here and say that I'm looking forward, as I'm sure he is. I don't know why I said the opposite approach of Rhys. Rhys said don't bet on the side that he's cheering for. Whatever. I don't care who you bet on. I'm looking forward to these games. I think that it's going to be an incredible series from the pitching perspective. I think that what we're going to be looking at is, can Coastal's bats keep up with the output that LSU can put on the board? I do want to point out something. Coastal is on a 26-game win streak, and the other night on the broadcast, I don't know if it was Berkey or who, somebody said, I don't know that this team knows how to lose anymore. And that is not only immaculate broadcasting, but a scintillating fact. What if Coastal can no longer lose games this season? What if there is nothing that can stop Jay Johnson and LSU from running into the exact same buzzsaw that they did in 2016? I'm so invested. I can't wait for the game starting tonight, baby. It's going to be awesome.
It's such a fun matchup, and it's the on-deck World Series.
Yeah.
It's Ryan Lynch versus Daniel Dickinson, and I'm convinced that they're going to match up in Game 3 in the 9th inning. And I'm rooting for my guy Ryan and Coastal because I've been championing them for a little while now, but I love that LSU team. Like, it's just going to be great baseball. And this is kind of where it's almost fun not being a fan of one team or having crazy rooting interests, because Omaha has just been really fun baseball, right? Even like watching Murray State go 2-0, like fun games, like just glad to watch them play more baseball. Like we got the majority of teams in this thing were very exciting, and they came from all different backgrounds, and so, you had an independent in there.
Except UCLA.
And then UCLA sucked. And they lost, of course, duh, because their path was so easy. We're never going to get a UCLA interview, ever.
That's not true. I'm going to interview Rock Chalowski next season.
Rock Chalowski is the most 1-1 anyone could be of a 1-1.
I'll be sure to let him know that you said that when I interview him.
It is such a shame he plays for that team because he is.
He's fun.
I thought he should have been Golden Spikes finalist, but that's neither here nor there.
Should we put our money where our mouths are? Should we call out who we think's going to win this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I have to stick with Coastal.
I'm going to go LSU. I got to stick with my allegiances to the SEC.
I'm going to go with Coastal as well. Nate probably doesn't want to hear that because I'm terrible at picking. But
why don't you take Arkansas, buddy?
Yeah, I might actually. You know, this is where I jump on the UCLA bandwagon. No, but yeah, it's Coastal. I think the lineup's fantastic. Caden Bodine, he's got to be the guy who's probably made himself the most money out of it. Oh, no. He's probably like a back end of the first round now. He's like maybe top 10.
Morrison.
Gage Wood has made himself some serious money with that 19 strikeout performance. But Caden Bodine, I don't know. I don't think the top of this draft is any good. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets drafted higher because someone decides to cut a deal. I know we're trying to cut this segment not as long, but I'm just going to go Coastal Carolina. I think the pitching goes band for band with LSU's, and LSU had 737 strikeouts this season according to a Twitter graphic, and you can't lie on Twitter. But I think Coastal Carolina doesn't strike out all that much, and I think they're gonna put balls in play and just be the better team.
Yeah, the second anyone says Caden Bodine's name, it like triggers a bat signal inside of me. But we will talk about him a lot more in the next 3 or 4 weeks leading up to this draft. I mean, he's one of the guys that I think all of us are super excited about, and I can't wait to mock him at like 11. So we'll kind of recap Omaha once again on Monday's episode, or I guess Tuesday's episode technically, because it'll be over by then. So we'll kind of give our final thoughts on everything then. But yeah, I mean, a lot of draft content coming from us, guys. We kind of do it all now, so it's fun.
And we're not even the draft guys.
I know it's been fun. So expect more draft content, obviously, but we're gonna cut the segment a little shorter for the sake of that lengthy kind of combine recap, and we're gonna go straight into Prospects Live News now, which is Rhys White's segment.
Yeah, court mandated. Don't ask why. The judge and I are still figuring it out. Yeah, listen. Anyways, what I did is of no one's business. We have live looks coming out the wazoo. We have Will Thompson's live look. We have Nate's live looks from the MLB Draft Combine. Who'd have thunk? We have the College Daily Sheet that I decided that I'm just going to write because I really like doing it. And then we have Tom Gates with his 3-up, 3-down series. Smada is writing. He's doing the P-Live Plus Deep Sea Diving, which is one of my favorite graphics. Very underrated graphic, by the way. Let's see. The DSL Weekly Rundown's still live. And then we have these guys, Will Thompson and Nate, decided to get together and form this combo collab and do the first, I think, ever combined live looks article. So, yeah. And let's see. My boss has told me to hype this up. The draft team, when you guys are listening to this, has released their top 300 draft prospects. They've done a lot of work. Shout out to everybody on that side. Max Ellingson, Jake Bargary, Ethan Cagno, Jacob Maxwell. Ooh, I feel like I'm forgetting someone, but they've all done a lot of heavy lifting on this list. There's been some stuff that's been on behind the scenes, and this is a fantastic list. I'm very excited for it to come out. Prospects Live is doing, we're one of the better draft outlets out there. So yeah, just shout out to those guys. And now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, and I can now I can send to my parole officer that I've done my court mandated P-Live News. Nate, what's on your mind?
The bits are out of control in this podcast.
Yeah,
we're just collecting them like Pokemon cards. My what's on your mind is gonna be short. I've talked a lot this episode. Sorry to my haters out there.
All none of you.
I fell off a line bike this week, and so I guess story time. I don't know.
I was gonna say, do you want to explain the situation? Because I think the situation makes it fantastic.
It was pretty funny. Okay, so I picked the closest. So I can't rent a car because I'm 22. Sorry, yeah, I'm a youngin', And so I get to Arizona. I Uber to my motel that is about a mile away from Chase Field. It's like the closest cheap place to stay at near Chase Field. And I'm like, great. I've heard that there are line bikes littered throughout Phoenix, and I will just line bike everywhere. Well, then I get to thinking again, wait, it's 110 degrees. So line biking in the morning is not really an option because I will get sunburned on my 5-minute line bike ride. It's too hot to do that. And when I did line bike during the day to go get some food, the wind was so hot, it like was burning my face. Like the wind, I'd never experienced anything like this before. And I'm such a softie because I'd never been in heat before. But like the wind hurt me so much that I stopped line biking and I walked home from like the grocery store. So long story short, I get an Uber to Chase Field in the morning on Tuesday, and then I am getting ready to come home, and like all the scouts and stuff are also Ubering home. So I'm like, well, we're all leaving at the exact same time. I'm not going to get an Uber for a while, and I don't know, something about my pride was like, I'm just going to line bike home. So I have this huge backpack with like a tripod attached, a camera bag hanging off of it. My backpack is an absolute like, there's just things hanging. It's a sideshow backpack. There's things hanging off of it everywhere, so I could get everything to the field. And then I also don't know where I am, so I need directions, right? So little old me is like, well, you only need your right hand to push down on like the, what's it called, smarter people? The thing that makes you go fast?
Accelerator?
Yeah, the accelerator. You only need one hand to do that. So I'm line biking with one hand, holding my phone in the other with Google Maps up, because I just don't want to get lost, I suppose. It was a horrible plan of action. Let's just be clear.
You're a Google Maps person? Ugh.
Apple Maps?
Gross.
Sorry. I use Apple
okay,
Maps.
cool. I just want to make
Google?
sure.
No, I would never.
You said
Apple
Google.
Maps.
Okay, good.
And eventually the sidewalk runs out, and I'm going down like this weird dark alley looking thing. And so I'm just in the middle of the street because there's no cars around. And next thing you know, pothole comes. This whole steering wheel obviously turns because I only have one hand on it. When I go into the pothole, my front wheel goes sideways, and I went over the handlebar of the line bike. First impact was knee. Second impact was wrist. I got a pretty bruised up wrist, and my knee. It's got a pretty deep gash in it. I visited the medical tent the next day because it wouldn't stop bleeding. I'll survive, you know. I'm a big boy, but it was pretty funny. And as I crashed, some people walking near me were like, "Are you okay?" And then a homeless man yells at me from nearby. Fuck, what did he say? I texted it to you guys.
No, you said it. He called you Evil Knievel.
He said something before that, though. He was like, "Oh, this is such bad podcasting because I should have known the punchline of this whole thing I've been building up to." The homeless guy just yells at me and was like, "Nice one, Evil Knievel," but he said something funnier than "nice one." And maybe Drew will find it in the text messages.
I didn't see it. I think you said it like post-recording, unfortunately. Because
yeah, we talked about it. Yeah. Dang it, that would have. Yeah, I missed my punchline. So that's all I got for what's on your mind. Line bikes, 2 hands. I'm gonna stay away from them for a little while. It hurt.
Sorry. I do want to say that after we recorded the day 1 recap, we got to see the cut, and Rhys and I, as your big brothers, we gave you advice on how, in a pinch, before you could visit the medical tent, how to patch and repair your cut within the confines of your hotel.
So what I did is I wrapped about a full roll of toilet paper on my knee because I didn't want to ruin the sheets and have to pay for sheets or whatnot that have blood on them. Typical motel thing that I'm sure they're used to it. And then I put 2 trash bags around it to make it tight, and then I wrapped a towel around it.
I was gonna say, over or under, how many people do you think have bled on the bed that you're sleeping on? Like,
I think it's an every night thing.
This yeah, I was gonna say.
You take a black light to this room, and you aren't staying here. But that's okay. I'm ignorant.
I don't know. Did
It's
you
not
see
gonna
the
be
painting
dark.
behind you? You could just put a light on it. Look at that lady's face. She's got stuff running all over. Anyway. Anyway, sorry.
That's it. That's all I got.
How about I go? Because, Rhys, you don't have anything on the sheet, so I'm excited for you to surprise us with your things.
I don't ever have anything on the sheet half the time.
That's true. All right, so if you're a longtime listener of On Deck, you will recall that Nate and I had incorrectly assumed previously that Rhys was not much of a Pokemon fan. We were wrong. Rhys actually does like Pokemon. Maybe not as much as Nate and I, but I'd say that he's right there with us. And so we promised on that episode that we would rotate. So eventually I said that Rhys and I would give Nate a team, and then maybe if you two could find it in your hearts, the two of you assign Drew a Pokemon team. So Rhys, that's what we're going to do. So as per the rules, you might recall, Nate, you will get to choose your starter Pokemon of any of the starter choices in Pokemon, please.
Oh my goodness. This is such a hard one. So I'm a Pokemon Red guy, and I always play with hacks on so I can take the Pikachu round 1, or for my starter. There's a name for that game. I don't know.
Pokemon Yellow?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, is that it?
I think.
Yeah. I always play like the modded up version of Pokemon Yellow with like the nicer graphics, and I play it like once a year. I've talked about this before. So I'm a Gen 1 guy, so I always take Pikachu, but he's obviously not a starter Pokemon.
Well, I mean, if that's what you choose, he is a starter, I guess.
No, I can do better than that.
He is a starter for someone, very famously. So
yeah, Ash Ketchum was notoriously used Pikachu as a starter.
I do feel like the Ash Ketchum of baseball media. With that being said, I'm going Cyndaquil.
You're not annoying.
I like Cyndaquil a lot. I think he's one of the cooler looking Pokemon from Gen 2, I believe. And anytime I run that game, or really any Pokemon game in general, I always like having a nice fire type, and I like the fire starters across all the fire starters are pretty cool except for Torchic.
How do you not like Blaziken?
I've never been a Blaziken guy. I don't know.
Blaziken is the best starting Pokemon, and we're not going to get into this. I'm not going to get mad. We don't have time.
I don't know. I don't know.
It
seems like you're about to get mad.
That's the best starter Pokemon there is. I think he's the best Pokemon. There's a whole girl with Blazikens. Yeah. So, dude, that's such
Cyndaquil is the pick, and now I just get to sit back and listen to you guys.
So Rhys,
figure me out.
Rhys, you said earlier, I believe your exact words were, "I don't know anything about competitive Pokemon." That doesn't matter. What we need to do is we need to pick Pokemon for Nate based on who he is. We can pick whatever. I guess it is important to note, according to this graphic that Nate made, Rhys, your team was Blaziken, your starter, Low Key Toxtricity, Slowking, Glaceon, Beedrill, and Dracovish. For those of you listening at home that might have missed that episode. So, all right, Rhys, what are you thinking here for Nate? When you think of Nate, what are you going with here?
He always brings out the Pacific Northwest, and I was trying to see if there was like a grass type that kind of fit the Pacific Northwest vibe. There's no moose Pokemon, which kind of shocked me. They have Pokemon based on everything, but apparently not. I'm really struggling on this one because when I think of Nate, I think like I said, it always brings up the Pacific Northwest. I think of very plain eater. I think of a ridiculously sized logo on a polo now. So I think you should go before I should because for those that don't know, Nate made his own polo for the Draft Combine, and it was. I feel. You should go get the logo. That gives us more time to think.
Yeah, definitely go get that because
I don't even know who half these Pokemon are. I don't think half of these are real.
Tell me the most fake-looking one you've seen so far.
Toedscroll.
Okay, all right.
That looks like a Pokemon. They were just it looked like just a recycled copy of a Pokemon.
Nate, Rhys, don't look now, but look at Nate's screen.
Yeah, that is like the biggest logo I've ever seen. I respect it so much.
I love it. What hustle?
Okay.
Custom merch, man.
Custom merch only for Nate. Oh, Flapple? What the hell?
I don't like the sound of that.
Flapple is a dragon that is an apple.
Yeah, I feel like Grass Dragon's actually not bad. That sounds like a really interesting.
Can I put a stipend in this?
Sure.
Yeah.
You guys should try and do early gen Pokemon for me because I don't do late gen Pokemon. So you can say them, I just won't know them.
So okay,
I hate to change up your vibe.
No, it's cool. I have one in mind, but it's here's what we're gonna do. Okay. So I have the principles, the basis of an article that I don't know that we've talked about, but it seems more and more unlikely every day that it's going to ever come out. But I made a baseball team out of Pokemon based on stats, and I used a lot of deep analysis and was going to have prospect comparisons for each Pokemon. Don't know that it's ever going to come out. Now, guaranteed people are going to eat me alive and be like, post it, post it, post it, so I'll end up doing it. But the pitcher, Nate, when I think of you, I think of a pitcher because you were a pitcher. You're very talented. You know a lot about pitching. The pitcher for my team was not Electabuzz, but his evolution, Electivire. So, Nate, we're going to give you Electivire as a strong electric type. And the thing that I like about this is that when we think about Nate, not only are you a pitcher like Electivire, but you are electric in that your content is great, you're exciting, you're fun to watch, and you're clearly on the rise in this industry. And I think that Electivire conveys that in a great way. So my first choice is Electivire.
I love that pick, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank
Big
you.
Electabuzz guy. Electivire. I think he came out in maybe a later gen as the...
Yes, sir. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. All right, Rhys, that is going to take us to you. A lot of ways you can go here for Nate. He's got a lot of offense thus far. Curious where you're going with now for his team.
I feel like I'm going to go stay in the offensive vein, where he said he likes Gen 1 Pokemon. I think, going along with a similar, baseball sort of vibe with Nate, who would be a better right fielder than Blastoise when thinking about it, right? You want a guy who hits massive home runs and has a massive arm. So I'm going to go with Blastoise.
Big man Blastoise? Love that.
Big man Blastoise. And then, we have to figure out what evolution we want to. I feel like that's a stipulation as well.
Yes. Okay, so here we are, Rhys. Ironically, we already have for Nate both a fire, electric, and water type. That is Eevee's Gen 1 evolutions. So I know that we can't... It's not in good faith for us to give him any of Flareon, Vaporeon, or Jolteon. We also know from past episodes that you, in our universe here, have Glaceon. So I think that takes Glaceon out of the mix for Nate as well. Which would leave us with Umbreon, Espeon, Leafeon, or
Eevee?
Sylveon. Just plain Eevee?
Just plain Eevee.
Because Nate's so versatile? Is that how we're going to save this? Or you just want to punish him and give him Eevee?
No, I don't want to get punished him.
I don't know. That's kind of funny.
I just thought it would be really funny. We're just there's all these evolutions, so we just give him Eevee.
I choose not to evolve it.
Exactly. I choose
quick
not
attacking.
to evolve. Yeah, exactly.
No, we got to give him. I think we're looking in the Umbreon Espeon sort of lane.
Okay. So
I think Umbreon's cooler.
Umbreon is cooler, and we know that Nate is notoriously a night owl as well. So Umbreon
Yes.
being the Pokemon of midnight, I think, is a pretty good choice.
We can put that
Drugs.
down for me. Yeah, and then you can go with the next ones. You're the Pokemon expert.
Let's see. All right. Well, Nathaniel, looking at this, let's see. I'm trying
They
to
should
plug
list
these.
Eevee's weaknesses as everything. It's just says fighting.
Sir, I was
And I'm
going to say
like, no,
certainly fighting type for sure. We know
Yeah.
that for sure. Let's see. All right, I'm going to try to see what we're looking at, what we need coverage in first of all. Okay, we have got two Pokemon weak to ground type. So those being Electivire and Typhlosion. So we need something that could do damage against the ground type. So let's go with... I'll tell you what might be kind of interesting. Ice type is super effective against ground type. And Rhys, you were saying just a moment ago that that Nate is, how should we say, vanilla when it comes to his food tastes?
Mm-hmm.
So what if we give Nate the ice cream Pokemon Vanillux?
That's not real.
It is real.
That's
look
a Pokemon?
Look it up. Yeah, look it up. Vanilluxe. Vanillux.
I forgot there's a lot of ice type in that generation. Like a lot.
So I think that this does several
psychic
things.
type.
I think this does several
That's
things.
pretty kick-ass.
It gives Nate's team some much needed defensive versatility. Gives you a switch in on the pesky ground types. And also, it plays up to the fact, Nate, that you like food that others might call vanilla. What with your bean dip and your hint of lime chips. I think Vanillux is a pretty fun choice here. Rhys, which now brings us... I'm sorry, I didn't ask. What are your thoughts on Vanillux there, Nate? I know you're typically an early gens type of fella, but curious.
I'm lactose intolerant.
So we should choose a different one. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Nope. I can't have you doing that. Let's see. I don't want to kill you with the choice.
Snom is like double cheeked up. It's just a Pokemon with a butt for no reason.
I'm sorry. What did you just say?
I said Snom is like double cheeked up. Look up Snom. 872. Snom.
So Snom for. All right. How about that? Yes, we should give Nate Frostmoth, Rhys, for our shared pick and I'll do a different type than Ice, because
Ice Bug.
Ice Bug is really diverse too.
Ice Electric. What the? They really just started throwing types together at some point.
They're just doing stuff. Yeah, we'll give Nate Frostmoth. That way it's Ice Bug, and that way he's not being killed by Vanillux. All right, and let me go back to my team balancer real quick. Now they're going to switch this out. Let's see, Frostmoth. I really like Frostmoth. I had a good Frostmoth for competitive battling at one point. Okay, something that's strong against ground and rock type. Okay, it's funny, Rhys, because I'm kind of with you that a grass type would be pretty superior here. And if we could find one that kind of plays into that Pacific Northwest vibe, that would be really strong. I have one in mind.
That's what I struggled with. I couldn't find any that have like this. Like they have every other sort of. There's no like tree.
Nate, what is more likely for you to run into? A deer or a goat?
A deer, 10 times out of 10. Isn't Sudowoodo a tree?
Sudowoodo is a rock type, though. I know what you think. Like literally a tree. He should be grass type.
Yeah.
We could. You know what? There is another tree, an obvious tree. There is Executor, who is a tree, and that would also give you psychic type. So yeah, we're going to give Nate Executor.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Which means that
Pokemon.
Your team is ignorance stacked here. Okay, so that will represent your Pacific Northwest home. For your final team, Nate, you have your starter, Typhlosion, along with Electivire, Big Man Blastoise, Executor, Umbreon, and Frostmoth. That's a loaded team.
I'm taking her to battle, and we're winning.
I think so, too. And it won't kill you, because Vanillux was cut.
That was a funny spin.
If you say so. Thank you, Rhys, for your help. You did great.
Thank you. I try. What did we end? Let me see the.
And Rhys, I do have a question for you, though, really quickly, sir, if that's okay.
Yes.
Rhys, what's on your mind?
Oh, that's such a good question. I have no idea. I thought something would come to me. I don't have any grievances to air. I was at the gym, and this dude's girlfriend was breaking up with him in the sauna, and he deserved it from what I heard. He cheated on her, so not shout out to that guy.
Can we get your hater list? Top 5.
Yeah, let's get the top 5 ops.
Top 5. Okay, I'm going to edit it because I don't.
Not your actual one, yeah.
Not my actual one. That one changes every day. Mosquitoes, number 1 op. Let me show you guys my leg.
Wow, you normally have to pay double for that.
We're not getting feet. You have to pay for that. My leg is really I have bites here. I have bites all the way down. Mosquitoes, number 1 op. Guy at the gym, the old man who yelled at me, the bald dude in a do-rag. I'm not shaming him because he's
so
bald.
much hair.
Dude, he drives me nuts. Maybe I should stop going to the gym when the elderly are there. Who else has been grinding my gears? MLB trade values? Actually, no. Do you know who I really dislike? the MLB executive burner account. I kind of like hate read. I will have to use my burner because he blocked me. Yeah, that's probably about it. Mike Elias does not like it when you call. No, I can't. I can't think of two more.
You like everything except for three things?
I dislike. Well, I can name things that I don't like. I don't like tomatoes. I think they're gross and yucky. Yeah. I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. I don't know if I've told you guys this. I'm allergic to garlic. I'm allergic to wheat. I'm allergic to strawberries. I'm allergic to most food. Eating is an adventure, to say the least. Maybe I should adopt the Nate approach and have no allergens and no and just a very plain style of eating. Maybe Nate's onto something. But tomatoes are the one thing I'll tell people I'm allergic to because I don't like them. They're gross. They're yucky. Yucky is probably not a word a 28-year-old man should be using, but that's fine. That's
I
fine.
like it. I like it.
My nephew could be an off depending on the day.
Sounds like a good kid.
Yeah, sounds like a great little boy.
My nickname, do you want to hear it? Butt Baby. That's what he calls me. He just calls me Butt Baby all day. I don't know where it came from, but yeah. So
let's write that one down, Drew.
I was about to say, Rhys, you realize that I introduce you like multiple times a week, right?
Hey, listen, I'll tell people what you fixed.
Fair enough.
Blackmail off.
Fair enough. I don't know. It'll never see the light of day.
This was not my favorite for me. What's on my mind? I'm sorry to everyone I let down.
It's not over yet. Maybe you can come up with something. Like, I always thought that it was cool how Chris Bosh could come up with a shot at the very last second.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there anything on Twitter?
Do you know that he's the Toronto Raptors all-time leader in double-doubles? Chris Bosh.
I can't believe that Oklahoma City couldn't pull that game off. It's still going on? Question mark? I don't know.
No.
I don't have a lot go. Pacers won. How do they keep doing this? But that's
I will
we're
be
not about
so shocked if they win NBA Finals. That's insane.
Yeah, it'll be one of the bigger shocks in recent memory. I'm trying to think. Do I have anything that I want to complain about? Anything? I've been listening to a podcast lately. This guy, his name is Bill Simmons. You guys should listen to him. He's a little underrated indie podcaster. He talks about basketball sometimes. No, I've been listening to this podcast lately. I was listening to another podcast, and I got a podcast recommendation from a podcast. I got Podcastception. It's called Revolutions, and someone did a fictional revolution of the revolution of Mars. Shout out to Jarrett Seidler for saying that on Chris Blessing's podcast, and now I've been listening to it, and it's been fascinating. So if people want to listen to something interesting, that is, it's all fictitious, but it's very good. It happens in 2300.
Rhys, I feel like you are the Ryan Russillo of Prospects.
Oh God, please don't say that. I hate Ryan Russillo. I don't hate him.
Oh, Ryan Russillo's my favorite.
Oh really? I'm a big Zach Lowe guy. I like to keep it simple. I'm a Bill fan.
Okay.
If Bill dies, if I die, Bill has no fans.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
We've talked about this a couple times now. I think it's funny that our podcasts, because I only listen to a couple podcasts, and it's Bill Simmons, Ryan Russillo, Pardon My Take, and then baseball and Prospects Live podcasts. I don't listen to any other baseball podcasts other than our own companies, if I'm being honest.
I listen to ones that I've been on.
Where were you going with that, Nate? You were going to comp us all to... Go ahead.
To Ringer people.
To the Ringerverse. I was trying to figure out what your comp was, because I don't think there's a Bill Simmons in this group.
I don't either.
No, there's
I think,
no
Drew,
Bill
you
Simmons.
might be Van Lathan.
I think so.
Oh, dude. Drew as Van Lathan is fantastic.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
They both fix a prominent issue. Nate, who are you? Oh, you're your nephew Kyle.
Yeah, probably.
You're a wild card, but you're really good at what you do. You're not a nepotism hire though.
I used to really like Kevin O'Connor before he left. And then I found out that people didn't like him at all, and then I stopped listening. So I don't know.
I did not. Those are episodes that I would miss.
Chris Vernon.
Chris Vernon's so good.
I don't know if he's still part of the Ringer.
He is. He was just on recently.
Okay. I want to be.
You want to be Verno? Okay, Verno. You can be Verno or cousin Kyle, or nephew Kyle. Sorry.
Okay, should you guys let the people know where to find you? I think we're.
Yeah,
we're over the
this is-
2-hour mark comfortably.
This has gone way too long. You can find me over on Twitter at rhysbwhite, on Bluesky at Rhys White, and on Instagram if you want to follow me, but not my burner. Where can they find you, Jer?
Feel free to find me on the Twitter machine at drewisokay. You can find me on Blue Sky at the same. That is drewisokay. You can find me on prospectslive.com, where I am trying to keep up with these two jabrones in terms of articles published. They make it difficult for me. Nate, where can they find you, Kimasabi?
Chasing Tom. Yeah, you know.
Hashtag Chase and Tom.
I recently downloaded an app, the All Trails app, All Trails Plus.
Okay.
I'm paying money for the hiking app now.
Oh, dude,
I
I'm on All Trails as well.
I haven't officially done a hike yet since I bought my new membership or whatnot. But this can like track me through the woods. So be my first follower, Nathan Rasmussen, and then yeah. So I think Rhys might be my first follower. But
Can I tell you
if
something?
anyone listening follows me on All Trails, that's dedication right there.
Can I ask a question?
I pay for All Trails. I never turn it on when I'm about to hike. And I got my Apple Watch stolen recently, so I can't even use the directions. So I don't even know what I'm paying for.
So
Nate, I
that's
have a
gonna make me
question.
hike.
Has
Yeah.
anybody followed you on any of the places that you are located?
I don't know. I got some weird LinkedIn followers, but that kind of is just like a natural thing.
That was
what
just
else
me.
have I shouted out?
That was
Jersey
just me.
Mike's. I don't think anyone gave me their shore points, which was a real shame.
What a bummer. After
Because
you
the,
said you
the
wanted
Mike's
to...
Way meme is now
Yeah.
full. I think I started it, for being honest here, guys.
Can you send shore points to people?
I don't know, but
If you could, I'm gonna beg my parents for shore points.
I downloaded the Frontier Airlines app because that's what I took to Arizona. That was a nightmare.
You also shouted out Sonos.
Yeah, let me see on Sonos. This will be the true test. I don't even know if you can have friends on Sonos. Sometimes I just say these things.
Oh, you
can't
also
even-
shouted out your local golf course too.
Yeah, you can't have friends
That's
on
another
that
one.
either. Yeah, I'm starting to get too in the weeds with it. Yeah.
All Trails, you might be able to get.
All
some-
Trails
I
is
don't
the
know.
time. Someone's gonna follow me on All Trails.
I'll follow you on All Trails. I pay for it, and I always forget to turn it on when I'm hiking.
Good episode though, fellas. And I just want to say thanks to our Prospects Live coworkers who are huge On Deck fans.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
chomping at the bit to be on here.
shout out you guys.
It's always cool. We're gonna have to get them all on very soon. But yeah, this has been really fun. Episode 12 in the books, fellas. And we will see you guys on Tuesday with a bunch more fun stuff. Good night. Goodbye. Good morning.
Good luck.
I used to be brash, I used to be bold. Lived off rhythm and road. I burnt every bridge, swindled and stole. Sold all stake in my soul, I went down to the creek.